Yo, what's going on, everybody? I know it's 1 a.m., but I had to do a stream on this. I have not been this excited about IDV in a long time. Guys, it's out. I didn't expect it to be out before the season ends, but the balance changes are out. I opened up IDV this afternoon, this night, what am I talking about? I don't even open the game on Wednesdays normally, okay? I opened it on Wednesday just so I can get my third login, so that I can get my 50, or what is it, my 50, where do you even go? My 30 extra light bulbs, because you have to log in every day to get it. And I was playing Ripper, right? I'm like, okay, let's just play Ripper. There is a character day we gotta do. And I'm noticing, wait, Ripper has an extra button now. What is this? We're doing quarter damage now. He swings faster. He gets Foggy Blades every 9 seconds now, or at least half a Foggy Blade every 9 seconds. So essentially 18-second Foggy Blades, and I had to look into this. I'm like, okay, so what else got changed? Guys, I am happy to announce that it is an exciting time to be an IDV fan, because I'm up here at 1 a.m. doing this for you guys and myself, because I love to do this. We're going to be going over every single balance change, the new hunter as well. The maps even have been changed, and they were not kidding when they said they would nerf Arms Factory. Guys, they nerfed Arms Factory, they nerfed Hospital. I haven't seen the Hospital changes. I dropped my mouth when I saw what they did to Ruins on Hospital. They just essentially negated a whole palette in that area. Arms Factory, front gate, is not dead, but half of it is dead, pretty much. And Moonlit just got way better just because of one area. Now there's actually a usable window on a whole dead zone on the map, because now actually usable. Guys, let's just get right into it. Starting off with the new hunter. There is the new hunter called the Peddler. I have not seen anything about the Peddler. The only thing I've seen about the Peddler is I opened up, I bought her, and I heard the music disc, and apparently she lures in kids. Something like that. Right, we're gonna put on Blink on her the next time I play her, so I don't forget that I have listened. And I have not read what she does yet. For the first time, I'm gonna be reading what she does. We also have Stinky in here because I'm gonna be testing all the changes out, so that we can see exactly what is different about them. How can we use it to our advantage? So, the Gifted Merchant. The Peddler can absorb various components from the environment, causing them to lose their original functionality while granting her new abilities. That's really interesting. I wonder if she can grab pallets or windows, but I guess you guys probably already know. She can store 2 charges for each ability and can hold up to 5 charges for all abilities. The Peddler has complete control over when to switch and release these abilities. Now, I'm guessing, now that I think about it, these abilities are actually talking about these. It's actually talking about these. So she's got a huge assortment of 0 presence abilities. Fun fact! Back then, when the game first came out, no hunter had 0 presence abilities. Every single one of them had no ability. Every single one of them. And nowadays, it looks like we're going into more and more abilities in 0 presence, to the point where we have like Shadow and Hula Blue and literally all these hunters who basically are the best early game. And late game, they're still just as good, obviously, but the full presence have been basically made nearly useless. And now all their power is in the full presence, which is fine. That's how a hunter should be balanced, in my opinion. So, Petty Gains. This looks like a very long cooldown, 18 seconds, but you start with 1.5. The Peddler can absorb components from the environment, such as ground elements, obstacles, or metallic objects within 8 meters of her. I wonder if this is actually like Clown. Maybe this is actually like Clown. Sounds like an upgraded version of Clown, if anything. The absorption process takes 1 second, during which her movement speed is reduced by 50%. So almost like a grabbing a soul. I don't know if you guys have ever like, what's that game? There's like a game where you grab souls or something like that. And you kind of suck them in. Oh yeah, Dead by Daylight. It reminds me of the Oni from Dead by Daylight. How he grabs in souls and he sucks them in. So that sounds really cool. Nature. The Peddler absorbs natural elements within a 1.5 meter radius. That's really small. The area affected... the area affected by this absorption experiences a withering effect for 8 seconds. Survivors entering this withered area will be ensnared by vines. This sounds all really confusing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this all right now. This is crazy, though. Let's read the mineral affinity. After absorbing mineral-based obstacles, Peddler can release mineral shards in a 15-meter area. This, I thought we would cover this without me reading it, but I just want to do a live reaction. This is this is too much to read, if I'm being honest. We need to get a move on here, because there's way too many characters, way too many things change. Well, let's at least show it inside of a custom match. But I'm not going to delve too much into the Peddler. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of information on the Peddler already, how they work and all that good stuff. I have not seen it. This is the first time I'm seeing anything like that. But we're going to pick her. And again, a lot of different abilities here. People are telling me she's going to be busted. The main ability you should be looking out for, seems like, is the ability to walk through walls. I have been able to see that. You can even make bridges over the moonlit, what's it called? The moonlit tracks, which is absolutely crazy to think of. There will be no wins, ties, losses. Although I am thinking at the end of the stream, we'll do like a game of Ripper, a game of Magician. All the characters I feel like really got a huge buff. And then we'll do a separate stream on the new Hunter. Maybe we'll do it in the afternoon. I'm trying right now to rank up to Survivor because the season is ending. But this is the Peddler. Pretty interesting design. I like the... Where is even the sound? I like the design of this Hunter. Definitely interesting. So this is apparently the main ability. We should be looking out for it. We did it there for a second. But you can actually make holes inside of walls. I guess not thick walls. I mean, I guess we are learning something here. So you can make it through thin walls, but not directly on top of windows. Basically, you go ahead and you make a wall here, and you can actually walk right through it, and you can hit survivors if they were to vault through this one. Now, I know this sounds absolutely busted, but to do her cackle. In theory, this should be balanced if it takes her a long time, to actually even set up the portal. So let's see how long it takes. 0, 1. It only takes 1 second, and it looks like the survivor would be able to see a black hole in the wall forming. And once you make this hole in the wall, it looks like it counts as its own special wall at this point, which is interesting. So if I were to make a wall right here, there's literally something blocking me here. I literally cannot pass through. I wonder if that can be used to your advantage. Like maybe you could put a wall. I wonder if it's possible to put a wall. Okay, it looks like some places you literally just cannot put a wall, but I almost wonder maybe if there are times where you can use this to your advantage and kind of block off a route. I don't know if it's possible, but I was thinking maybe it is possible to kind of, maybe if it's a really small area, maybe block it off or something like that. Like, can you do it here? Can you block it off right here? Can you block off this pallet by putting a thick black wall on the other side? Maybe? Maybe, can you? No. Okay, so it seems like it tries to avoid doing that. I don't know why it's doing it in that area. So, really interesting stuff. Now we have the abilities turned off, though. So, let's see what actually happens. I mean, again, I haven't even read this stuff. Apparently, that does damage. I'm not sure where we're gaining this stuff here at the bottom. It was talking about collecting stuff, but I'm not collecting anything as far as I know. Looks like we're just gaining it passively, if anything. Just from every time we make a wall, it seems like. We seem to be gaining something. Now, again, we'll go more into this Hunter on its own stream, but so far, this does not look like a weak Hunter. Which, as long as they're not weak, that's all I'm really interested in. But again, with new Hunters like this, it's harder for me to make a statement on how good this Hunter is going to be, how well you can realistically win games with them. If she is versatile, it seems like you're going to be able to win some games. And I mean, I think the ability is pretty good, and even the ability to do chip damage. I hope it's not as busted as Hula Baloo, but the widened arms factory too. Okay, yeah. So long story short, a lot of things were changed, and now we're going to get into my favorite things, the actual changing of the game for every single person. Besides just, you know, they released a new Hunter. If that new Hunter is going to be busted, no one is going to see it because it's always going to get banned. But the stuff you will see is the balance changes, and this is the stuff I'm really excited for, and this is going to be what we're mainly going to be going over. So, starting off with my opinion, probably the biggest change for all the survivors, but we also have some surprise picks over here that I wasn't expecting, like Explorer, but we have Magician here. Magician, for the most part, I'm guessing they didn't change much about Magician, but Magician probably got the biggest buff of all the survivors. Now, there's a lot of things he can do that before he couldn't. Just to list off all of those things, you can now vault and drop stuff after using the decoy. Before, there was like a second and a half where you couldn't do that. So every time you use an illusion, you had to use it like from a distance, from the powder window. Or if you ever do decide to illusion out a pallet, you pretty much are going to have to just stand there for 1.5 seconds. Now, when we use the illusion, we should be able to immediately drop it, which is really handy. And here's the other buff, which we just did. I didn't even realize it. You can now walk through your illusion. So what does this mean exactly? This means for exactly situations where maybe it's like a clown or a hunter like that, you can now put an illusion here, and before you wouldn't be able to walk through. But now you can walk through, but the hunter cannot. So if you ever do decide to put an illusion like this, the hunter cannot walk through, but you can. And this is why you never see me do illusions like this, because if you ever do an illusion like this, the hunter knows you cannot walk through either. So they'll just push you on one side, and if you try to use this power, you literally cannot walk through. And it lasts for a good amount. It lasts for 20 seconds. I don't think they changed the number. If the hunter hits it, though, they did another change to it, which is going to be the ability to... How do you even teleport to the hunter again? Can you even teleport to the hunter? There we go. They actually did another ability. They not only increased the speed. Guys, we are insanely fast every time we use an illusion. It is 50% now instead of 40%. But now, when I were to get hit by this illusion... when the hunter hits this illusion, we get an extra speed boost. And it doesn't even give us a buff or anything. It doesn't even tell us in the top left that we're getting a speed boost. But... if I were to use this illusion and keep running in a straight line, you will see that we just suddenly move faster. It's like we use the second illusion without going invisible, because you will see every time we use an illusion, we also get faster for about 1 second. And so it looks like this is a second 50% buff. So if you ever were to use an illusion like this, you get that one buff, and then after that, you're going to actually get a second buff if the hunter were to knock it out of the way because it's in their way, which is on some palette areas going to be very annoying. They're going to have no choice but to do that, especially on areas like Arms Factory over here. If you ever do the illusion on an area like this with the door, maybe they block off this window with like a Feaster tentacle if it's like something like Feaster, or maybe it's a Sculptor and you're afraid of vaulting stuff because, you know, every time you vault something, it's a pretty easy statue hit. You can now put an illusion here, and not only will you get a 50% speed bonus now, but the hunter cannot walk through this, but you as a survivor can. I don't know in what situation you'd want to walk through it here, but you can. In other situations, you'll be able to use this buff, though, where otherwise you would not be able to do this. At palettes like this, it would be extremely dangerous to do something like this, because now that's a whole palette you can't use now. But instead, with the buff, you are now able to just walk through, which is going to make this illusion, this ability, so much more versatile, so much more fun to use. And we're definitely going to be using Magician a lot in the future. Not too much because I already use him a lot, but we'll have other streams dedicated to all these other survivors like Explorer. We're going to be doing Explorer. Explorer also got a surprising change, which I was not expecting. But while we're changing, I wish I had like someone in the background who could change for me while I'm reading these messages. Kind of like journalists. Journalists is way worse. They have different roles. The problem with journalists is a rescuer. And so when you have a rescuer on your team, you need them to be unchaseable. And unfortunately, journalist is not really unchaseable. Magician's role is a kiter. And Magician, I feel, does everything better than journalist on kiting. Journalist does better on rescues, of course. But, you know, that's not really good enough. You could just pick a better rescuer at that point. So, thank you so much, Vireen. Harashai 1004 for the MYR6. I have no idea what that is. Psyche, can I get a hee-hee-ha? There you go. Hee-hee-ha. All right. Next survivor we're going to be looking at is going to be Explorer. Explorer, this is one I haven't talked about at all on my streams. But Explorer is actually getting another big buff, just like Magician. Let's just start off with the treasures. Your treasures will never spawn further than 70 meters from you. So this is about where I spawned. I think this is where I spawned right when the match started. I didn't want to run away from the spawn because I want you guys to notice that when you spawn, no matter where you spawn on the map, the treasure will never be further than 70 meters away. Which means if there's a treasure like 100 plus meters away, maybe near where someone is planning to get chased or about to get chased, it's not like you just pick Explorer for no reason, because there's no reason going that far for the page. You're wasting more time walking and collecting the page than if you just do like the factory cipher right here. It just doesn't make any sense. And now it's going to always make sense to go after the page at the start of the game. And maybe, just maybe, I am thinking about this. For those more experienced Magician players, you will know that the treasure spawns are not random. They do tend to spawn in front of Cypher Machine spawns. So this game, it did just so happen to spawn a treasure in front of a Cypher. So if this were a real match, you'd be able to do this treasure and just immediately work on the Cypher Machine. But the way treasure spawns work is there's not always a treasure in front of a Cypher. It just spawns where there's a possible Cypher spawn. So I'm thinking it might be possible to spawn in rank matches where you can choose your spawn, of course, in Legendary mode. And you might be able to specifically pick a spawn where there's not a lot of Cyphers nearby. And so it's more tempted to maybe spawn a page right next to you. But I guess it could also spawn it really far from you, if I think about it that way. So there might be some manipulation here, but the point is it will never spawn that far away from you now, where it's like now worth going after. There's another interesting buff. And I don't know if this is different for any other characters, but this is actually a pretty big change. When Explorer hits a perfect calibration, he gets 0.8% extra progress than other survivors. If you didn't already know, you get extra decode for hitting a perfect calibration. The first time you hit it, it's 2% extra, I think. And then the second time you hit it, it's still 2%, but eventually it goes down to 1%, and that's for all survivors. But for some reason, Explorer is going to be a little bit different now. Instead of you gaining 2% for each perfect you get, he's going to get 2.8%. And I'm sure if you hit enough perfect calibrations, it will reduce by 1%, but it will still be 1.8%. Assuming those numbers haven't changed, a long time ago, the devs have decided to make it so perfect calibrations don't consistently give you 2%. It gradually diminishes, but point is, Explorer is going to be getting more from every perfect calibration, which means even when he's not working with a page, he's just going to be coding faster. And I want to remind you guys that calibrations are 30% more often on Explorer. I believe it was, no, Prospector was 50%. Explorer has always been 30%. So you're getting, anyway, calibrations more often with Explorer, which is really fun. And it even says right here, successful calibration boosted decoding progress by 0.8%. All survivors have get a boost in decode after hitting calibration. It's not like a percentage. It's just it's not like a rate increase, I should say. It's just a flat. You get an extra 2%. So I'm not sure why it says specifically for Explorer like this. I feel like the wording is a little bit poor because every survivor gets an extra boost for hitting a perfect calibrations, unless that changed, which I guess I'll have to get back to you guys on that. But anyway. They did also change some stuff about the Feaster and some other hunters regarding the Explorer. And we're going to switch to a simple example Feaster for this one. When you are in the book now, apparently the tentacle can no longer target you. I'm very curious where it's going to target then. In a match where there's no other survivors, maybe when you're trying to get dungeon. But I assume if there's other survivors in the match, it'll just go after other survivors. Because now, when a Feaster is up against Explorer and other hunters as well, other examples would be when you switch as Embalmer. For those that don't know, when you switch as Embalmer, it shows you where the closest survivor is. It points in the direction of the survivor. So, again, just in case you don't already know, we're going to turn on ability depletion. And you will see that when this Feaster uses this tentacle, it will point at me. It will always point at me. There's no hiding from it. Every time he uses it, it will always attack towards the closest survivor. And no matter where I move, it is always going to change its direction. It's always going to point at the closest survivor. That's how Feaster knows where you are. That's the same for Embalmer when he switches. That's the same for Photographer when he uses his card trick. But now when you're small, it's not going to be able to target you. So I'm very curious where this is going to target. It just targets whatever direction it's already facing. So now you cannot get detected by the tentacle. You can actually hide from Feaster, and it's not a risky character anymore to be picking Explorer and they just go Feaster, which is generally not a good hunter. But against Explorer, very good because he doesn't have any abilities to kite you with once you find him. And there is one more bonus change. I don't think it's a really big one. Don't think it's a really big change per se. But when you shrink down with the book, the first 2 seconds that you're shrinking, you are going to be normal speed, and then after you fully shrink, you'll notice that you're slower. Before, as soon as you start shrinking down, you'd be slower. I do want to say, though, if you're in the middle of shrinking, then the tentacle will still focus on you. Like right here, I'm going to be shrinking, but the tentacle will still focus in on me. You have to be fully finished shrinking down for it to not target you. Like right here, again, we'll do it one more time. I'm clearly behind the tentacle. I'll be in the middle of shrinking, but it's still going to know where I am. So you have to know, you have to already be shrinking ahead of time for the tentacle to not find you, which is interesting. It's a little bit of change, just so it's not as OP, I guess. I still think that when you're decoding and you're shaking a cyber, it won't be that hard to find you. You have to have a head start on hiding is the general rule with Explorer. But now the fact that the decode is going to be a lot more consistent, not just with the pages, but even for perfect calibrations, you get a bonus. It seems really nice. I think Explorer might genuinely be a good survivor to use. Now, Mechanic is going to be the next survivor we look at. Really short. Oh, hold up. There's a question in chat I do want to quickly answer. Could you use it to your advantage to make the tentacle not focus on you? Like, what if you are next to it? You could. You're right. You absolutely could. I will say if it swings in the direction of like the closest survivor, you might need to know where your teammates are so you're not standing in the path of the tentacle when it swings. Because, fun fact, even if it's not targeting you, if you are in the direction of the tentacle. Just like, let's say someone has like a feast or curse on them, and the feaster uses the feast or curse ability, so it should target that person. But if there's another person in the way, then it will hit that person instead. So you still have to be careful. The tentacle's not like, it's not like you're invincible to the tentacle when it swings. You just have to not be in the way. So gotta still be careful of that. But you're right, you honestly could. I guess he's the one hunter where you could use this ability against him. But just, you gotta do it ahead of time. You gotta shrink down. Remember, when you shrink down, you're slower. Psyche, can you test if feaster still does damage? Okay, sure, we'll do that. We'll do that while we're talking about this next buff. Not next buff, this next nerf. This is, in my opinion, a huge oversight from the devs. This is nerf to mechanic. Nerfing mechanic, instead of decoding 25% slower per injured survivor up to 2 times, so it's not like per injured, it's only up to 2 injured survivors, and any more injuries after that do not count. Injuries on mechanic do not count. If you're injured as mechanic, you do not decode 25% slower, it's just other survivors. I do want to say that I feel like this was a huge oversight. They have nerfed mechanic's damage from 25 to 30. And Mechanic is not a good survivor, guys. Mechanic is not a survivor that you should be using in rank match. At least the only reason you see Mechanic so often in Call of Abyss and other tournaments is because of the top 3 best hunters in this game. Goatman, Hullabaloo, and Shadow, which by the way have all been nerfed, I want to say. But they are all extremely bad against Mechanic because for Hullabaloo, it takes multiple hits to kill the Ba. For Goatman, it's very expensive to kill the Ba. 40 energy is a lot to waste on a Ba. For Shadow, it takes time to, you know, get a 100 eyeball effect on top of the mechanic doll. It costs a whole full presence if you're to go after it, so it's not generally a good trade deal for you. But when it's not those hunters, mechanic is awful. Every single other hunter has insanely fast recovery on those abilities. Oh, we're now feaster. Every single other hunter has insanely fast recovery on those abilities. They'll be able to quickly deal with the robot. They don't even have to go after you because how slow your decode was after you start focusing on other survivors even before. Now they have further nerfed it from 25 to 30%. All they had to do was nerf the hunters and just leave the mechanic as is. But now this just makes mechanic completely unplayable. So she was already unplayable in my opinion because the only reason you want to play mechanic is to tie your games. Guys, in ranked match, we get no points for tying our games. We are now winning $100,000 for tying the match. In Call of Abyss, tying is good. Tying is very hard with that level of hunter gameplay. With those strength of the hunters that you cannot just outright ban like you can in a ranked match. There's no reason to play mechanic because you're always banning the best 3 hunters for you to go up against as mechanic. And any other hunter is not good to go up against as mechanic. So there's no reason to pick mechanic. And on top of that, when we tie the match, we're getting +1, +2, +3. Those tournament players, for winning that whole bracket, for winning the finals, are going to get hundreds upon thousands of dollars. They want to tie their games. They are getting paid to tie their games. You are not getting paid to tie your games, and you are barely getting any points on... Oops, let's not go that. You're barely even getting anything to tie your games at all. This is not a tournament. Mechanic is not going to be good, and Mechanic never was good ever since they majorly nerfed her. And now she got nerfed even further. And you know what? I guess I'm not complaining because maybe now I finally stopped seeing mechanics in my rank matches. That's how bad she is. So stop playing mechanic. Mechanic got nerfed, not majorly, but from 25 to 30, she was not a good character in rank in the first place. They're purely just nerfing it because of tournament gameplay, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. All they had to do was nerf the hunters, not nerf the character that counters those hunters. Because to be honest, those hunters were broken to begin with. It's not like mechanic even countered them. She would just stall them out, made their life more difficult, but at the end of the day, they're still extremely strong and they'll easily deal with any survivor. It's just mechanic dealt with them slightly better. Anyway, someone was asking me, does the tentacle still do damage? The answer is almost for sure yes. Right now, the tentacle will not target me because I'm small, so it'll just target the direction that it's facing. Now, I'm going to be in front of the tentacle it's facing. It's going to use its attack, and we're going to take damage. So you are not invincible to the tentacle. That is exactly the way it works, even if you're not targeted by the tentacle, by the way, even if you're not explorer. Maybe you're playing mercenary, and you're trying to body block for your teammate, and your teammate has the curse mark on them, and the feaster uses it. It's not like it auto-locks on the survivor. If you were in front of the tentacle, closer to the tentacle than the other survivor, it will focus in on you, the mercenary, which is going to be key knowledge to know, even when you're not playing explorer. Mind's Eye is going to be the next character we're going to be looking at. Mind's Eye got a huge buff. I feel that we might see Mind's Eye a little bit more now. I don't know if she's going to be that great in rank, because to be honest, decoders in general suck, because it's just, you just get more decode when you do a better kite. It's as simple as that. You have to waste so much time hiding as these decoders. And it just slows you down so much to the point where the decode buff is not even worth it. You actually lose more time hiding and avoiding the hunter. And doing your part of avoiding the hunter is a very big part of playing decoder. You don't want to get immediately chased. You want to be able to rotate the hunter a little bit better. So unfortunately, they did not nerf the sound effect of the cane. If you use the cane, the hunter can still hear where that cane is coming from. With their headphones, they'll still hear the general direction, which is a huge oversight again, in my opinion. But they did change some other things. For starters, the cooldown of the cane is now 45 instead of 50 seconds, which you'll see right there. And there's actually another slightly more interesting buff, is that if you are playing a hunter who has wanted order and Mind's Eye uses the cane, you can no longer see the outline of survivors while the cane is active. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a neat little ability I haven't thought of as Mind's Eye. That now when you use the cane against the hunter you're up against, and if they have wanted order, the hunter will not see who is outlined while the cane is going on. And it lasts for 8 seconds for those who are curious. It lasts for 8 seconds. That's how long it would block out the hunter's ability to see. Why did I live the match? I guess there's not a whole lot to show for Mind's Eye in terms of like mechanics, but the other thing they did help to change about Mind's Eye is they actually further made her vaulting faster. Now her vaulting speed, instead of being 22%, is 15% slow now. I think that's the same speed as Mechanic if I'm not wrong. So that is pretty cool. Her vault speed got a pretty big change. And remember guys, vault speed is the same thing as pallet drop speed. So every survivor that drops a pallet faster, unless specifically mentioned like forward and batter, whatever vault speed they have is the same time they spend dropping the pallet, not including horsefly effect. So if you are playing Coordinator vaults 10% faster. But vaulting also is the same as dropping pallets, according to this game. So when you drop a pallet, you also drop it 10% faster than, like, let's say, Perfumer, who has no vaulting buff. Now, every time you drop something as Mind's Eye, instead of dropping it 22% slower, you're going to be dropping it 15% slower. And again, with Horsefly effect, that's going to help even more. It will add up, but you still don't really have a good ability to counter the hunter. And honestly, you really shouldn't, because you have a pretty high amount of decode. It's just she's going to be a little bit better now, which is cool. Cowboy can now lasso over a hunter vaulting. So I think I will show this one. So apparently, I guess at some point, I thought this was still in the game. I just never use it because ever since they made it so confined space can be vaulted by the hunter, there was just no point ever doing this trick. But now, when you play Cowboy and the hunter is vaulting over a window, you can now vault over that hunter who's vaulting over that window. Before you couldn't, before you get blocked by them, or if you do try to do it, I'm pretty sure you still could, but the timing was really tight. Back then, you definitely used to be able to, but it was a much harder timing. You had to do it right as the vault ended. And if you timed it perfectly, then you could vault over them right before confined space trigger. But now the confined space, the hunter can just vault over confined space. It doesn't really matter that much. We're going to have the... I actually can't teleport the hunter towards me. So we're just going to teleport towards the hunter. And hopefully there's a window nearby. And yep, there is a window nearby. So what it specifically says in the balance changes is now when Cowboy is going to use the lasso over a vaulting hunter, you will now be able to vault over that hunter. I guess let's try it right now. Let's see what happens. That's pretty cool. I think in certain situations that can be pretty handy, especially because now if it's a really good window, the hunter again has to spend time vaulting over that same window. Embalmer is probably like one of the closest to the fastest vaulter in the games, so it doesn't matter as much, but a lot of hunters will not vault as quickly as Embalmer. I think it can make a pretty big difference. I am curious to try out some other things though. Regarding Embalmer, I am more interested for these harder to vault over windows, like this one on Hospital right here. Let's test it out right here. Can you vault into Hospital? Like this would be a pretty big deal if you could do this consistently, pretty easily, hopefully, ideally, so that Cowboy can be a very good character on maps like Lakeside, where there's like a small boat to vault over, and you could use your lasso to vault over the hunter. Let's see what happens here. No, okay. So maybe there is a little bit of timing to it, but as far as I can see, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to go on elevated windows, which is going to be a little bit sad. Okay, right there I just missed. But it is a little bit, it's a little bit hard to play on two screens at the same time. But I'm guessing on elevated surfaces, you are not going to be able to do this. It just cancels out. I mean, I guess let's try it on this window. I mean, if we can consistently nail it on the other windows, then it still is going to be helpful. It still adds a little bit of versatility to Cowboy. That's pretty nice. It can sometimes be pretty nice, especially if you're on a dead end. Like, imagine right here, if you just vaulted this window, and maybe the pallet here is gone, maybe the pallets over there are gone, and you don't have a window boost to easily go inside of hospital, right there we did, so we honestly should have gone hospital. But let's say you don't have those options. You're on the edge of the map here with nothing to use, not on the edge, but in a dead zone. And there's tons of pallets behind the hunter, but you just can't reach them. Now when they vault this pallet, or not this pallet, but this window, now you have access to these other pallets here that you are now going to be able to use. So that's when you would want to use this buff. It's going to be a little bit situational, because in what situation are you not going to have pallets in front of you after you vault a window, especially if you have broken windows. Though I do think this is going to be more valuable for the flywheel cowboys. It's just, you know, with broken windows, usually you're not going to be vaulting backwards. You're going to be utilizing your speed boost to get to another area nearby. Yo, thank you so much, Mari, for the $4.99 donation. Hi, Sick and Aaron. I hope you all have an amazing day/night. Yes, so we're streaming this at 1:40 a.m. Just, I had to do it. I was this excited to do the balance changes. So Cowboy got a pretty, I think that's a sizable buff. I think it's noticeable. You'll definitely see it being used more often. It'll give him some options. That's the most important thing. Versatility is what we're talking about here. That's what really is very important in all modes, but specifically in rank mode where you don't know who the hunter is. You know, when you are going up against any single possible hunter in any single kind of kiting area you might find yourself in, you don't know where your teammates are, where you might have to avoid, where you might have to be forced to go. So in that kind of situation with limited communication, and you're just forced to use whatever items you have in the moment with your brain that you're using, this can be a pretty good tool in your toolkit so that you can vault over maybe when you really need it to most. Seer got a buff. Seer, when spectating a survivor, icon and audio indicator near survivor portrait are shown. So basically what this means is now when Seer spectates you, you're going to see, I'm guessing, like a little feather icon next to your portrait, so that in the top right of the screen, everyone's health is shown. I'm guessing it's going to show like a feather icon or like an eyeball showing that the Seer is watching you. So don't waste your flywheel, don't waste your abilities. Trust on your Seer that your Seer is going to save your life, and use the owl on you. So that's how you can kind of now tell if there is a Seer watching you. Before, you just had to trust. So you just say, you just gotta say, help me, follow me, hope the Seer is watching you. You just hope for the best, basically. So now you'll be able to hear audio, and you'll also be able to see an icon, which is pretty neat. No changes to Seer besides the quality of life, which is really nice. Embalmer got a change. So this first one sounds more of like a quality of life feature. Coffin quantity now displays when transferring. So icon now shows remaining coffins. I'm guessing that now you'll be able to see how many coffins the Embalmer has left when he puts a coffin on someone. I don't really... Again, this is something I'll be able to see in games when we play more often in rank match. But the more important change is actually the second buff to Embalmer, which is going to be survivors who are resurrected get a different buff. They get the invincibility buff now. So before, how it used to work is that when you used a coffin, pretty much every time you used a coffin, you would be, you'd obviously have the coffin on either you or another survivor. Don't look to the right. That's a spoiler. Every time you or another survivor, you are chaired, you have the option to use the coffin. And when you resurrect from that coffin, there are 8 seconds where you cannot be injured by the hunter. They'll swing, and it's like they're swinging out of air. So if I go ahead and place my coffin here, oh, well, unfortunately, we're not really playing against a good hunter here to show this buff well. But now, instead of gaining the ability to not get hit anymore, we're going to get the ability of invincibility, and invincibility is better. This is going to be a new buff, because now, if we were to play Wax Artist, or Anne, or what's it called, or Ivy, so there would be Corruption right now. Basically, any ability, again, we're not going to be able to show here because I accidentally played Hellumber, any ability that would stun you, or put something on you, something that controls you. So Anne stuns, Water from Naiad, Wax getting put on you. If you're inside of like a gravestone that what's it called, that Shadow Maid, you would not be gaining any of those stats. You would not be gaining Water. You will not be gaining Wax. You will not be gaining Corruption. And if Anne puts a cat on you, I don't know if she can put a cat on you. Let's actually test right now. Can she put a cat on you if you have this ability? But it says here that all those things will not even apply. The stun will at least not apply. I'm very curious though. The stun might not apply, but will the numbers still rise? That's what I want to test here. So let's do a little bit of testing. It says other powerful control effects as well. If any of you guys have any ideas for like any other hunters who stun the survivor or keep them in place, let me know. But it seems like the main ones here are going to be Wax Artist, and what's it called? And Shadow, but also other hunters who don't stun, they just apply water damage like Naiad. That's going to be a pretty big change as well. So let's try it out. Let's try this out. I'm going to pick in probably the more common hunter you'd see in not only high tier, but also low tier. You see this hunter quite a lot. So let's go ahead and pick Embalmer. Now, Embalmer, we're not going to be able to try this infinite times in a custom practice match because I can only be on chair so many times. In fact, if I get put on chair right now, I'm just going to immediately die. So I have to use the coffin as soon as I knock down. But in a real match, you guys should get chaired first and then use the coffin, ideally. Sometimes you shouldn't, though. Sometimes you shouldn't, but I won't delve too much into that. For now, we're just going to focus mostly on this ability, this coffin ability. So, in the case that I were to get knocked down, and I have set up a coffin, I'm always trying to find the teleport button. Now, when we were to get knocked down by Anne, we're not going to get stunned anymore when we use the coffin. So I'm very curious now. Let's see what's going to happen. Will the cats just ignore me, or will they still attach? Let's see. Okay. Okay, so the cat still attaches, but if the Anne walks on top of you, you don't get stunned, which is a really big change. That's a really big change. I'm very excited for this. Again, we might see Embalmer more often. One of the biggest downsides of Embalmer is, yes, you couldn't get hit, but hunters like Anne, Wax Artists, could just stall it out. They could just stun you in place, wear the timer out, and then cause you to just run out of time, and you won't be able to reach the powder window because they just keep stunning you. I think this is a really good change. I have not thought about this at all, but I think this is a great change. And now I want to try another hunter. We're going to try Wax Artist this time, because I do want to see, can we still increase the wax? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to switch. We're going to have our hunter player here switch, which is just me on my phone, by the way. And we're going to see what happens with Wax Artist. Does he still increase the wax number? Because if the wax can still be put on the survivor, then he's just going to leave you at 96 and just not put you at 100. So again, another problem with Anne, this buff with Anne, on theory, it seems great on paper. But how are you going to get her to stun you? You know, the Anne might just put cats on you, wait out the timer, and then stun you. All right? And that's what I'm thinking could happen. That's where this buff could go wrong. So we got to be careful of that. And now I want to see, is my idea also going to happen with Wax Artist? Because if Wax Artist can just put 96 wax on you, even though he can't stun you, that doesn't mean a whole lot. Maybe if you're in a perfect area to counter Wax Artist, maybe then it might matter. But let's see here. Can you still get wax put on you? No, you actually can't get wax put on you. So there's no stalling. There's no anything like that. Literally, he has to wait for the full 8 seconds to run out before you can get anything put on you. So if you're in a coffin situation like this, I was recently in playing a rank match, Embalmer coffined me, literally right there in front of Shaq, and it was a Wax Artist. I'm just immediately getting shot, literally immediately. Now we're going to have time to reach, like, let's say this window, get a window boost, and now a Wax Artist is going to have to follow us and all that good stuff. I think this is going to be a great buff to the hunters that Embalmer probably struggled with most, hunters who could stall it out. So again, with Nai, it seems like if Waxers can't put wax, and I'm assuming Nai cannot put any water on you. She can't just ahead of time trap the coffin, wait until you pop out, and then put water on you right as the timer's about to run out. Now she's not going to be able to do that. I think this is a really good Embalmer change. I already felt like Embalmer was a great survivor. I just don't use him that often because it is usually better to just go a better kiting survivor. But this man can seriously get you guys a lot of 3-person escapes. If there's a survivor you should be playing, it's not Mechanic. It's actually Embalmer. Because Embalmer, similar to Mechanic, will relatively easily tie your guys' games, at least waste Hunter's Trait for teammates who are not able to waste Hunter's Trait. You'll now be able to force Hunter's Trait out with your coffin. So now if the next person who kites will not get teleported on, will not get blinked on, stuff like that, they'll be able to force it out with a coffin inside a good area. And so he's great at tying games because of that reason. But he can also get you guys 3 escapes. If the hunter's not paying attention or not careful, you could very well get a coffin escape into the gate or into the dungeon, which is very good. Huge versatility value. His only downside is that he's not the greatest kiter. But if you know the basics to kiting, you could stall quite a bit, maybe even get a blink out, and then next time you get rescued, you have Titan. You just run as far away from the coffin as possible. The hunter cannot stun you. The hunter cannot slow you down like they could before. And now you're going to get very far from the coffin. You're going to resurrect with the coffin. You might even just be able to get enough ciphers popped just by doing that, which is very fun to think about. And we'll definitely be playing Embalmer, not just like as a dedicated stream, but I think I will even be playing him outside my free time, testing out how good he is. The next change I want to talk about is Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper got buffed. Gravekeeper, again, getting buffs as usual. This is not as big of a buff. I feel this buff, if anything, maybe should have been in the game from the very beginning. It's just a quality of life change with Gravekeeper. Now, if you were to get pushed by something, which I'm going to be playing the Perfect Hunter who pushes you, or if you, okay, I thought the screen disappeared there for a second, it's just black. If you were to interrupt your shovel for any reason whatsoever, if you got hit, if you got pushed by a statue, if you got, and for any reason whatsoever, maybe there's others that I'm not thinking of, but for any reason, if you were to get your shovel canceled, it will not waste a shovel. Fun fact, for those that didn't know before, when Gravekeeper got his shovel, like let's say he's digging down, and you got hit in the middle of it, it would waste your shovel and you will still take damage. It takes time to dig down. So now, if you were to get hit right in the middle of digging down, it will not waste your shovel anymore. You'll just be on a shorter cooldown now. So I believe in the game, it will tell you how much less you have to wait. But now, instead of waiting, let's try it out actually one more time. So this also applies to statues and getting pushed around by stuff like this. Now it will not waste a shovel. Now, what I am a little bit confused about is that on these balance changes that I'm reading, it says that the cooldown will be reduced by 10 seconds if it's interrupted. Right now, guys, for the cooldown of a shovel, it's 13 seconds. You saw right there that after I got interrupted, it's still 13 seconds. So I don't know if this is a bug. But if the balance changes are correct, this is supposed to be 3-second cooldown instead of 13-second cooldown. Because 13 seconds is normally if you were to get hit by something or pushed around for any reason whatsoever, it would cancel your shovel. But it says on the balance changes that you're supposed to now have 10 seconds reduction. Maybe this is an outdated list that I'm reading, but on the game, if you guys pull up the game and load the game, it will also say, so if it says on there on the patch notes when you load up the game, that, you know, it should also be reduced by 10 seconds. This might be a buff. Sorry, not a buff, a bug, and they might change this in the future, or maybe it was reverted entirely. I don't know, but the point is you keep your shovel now, which is a really nice change. Again, this is like kind of like a training wheels buff. You know, if you're new to Gravekeeper and you're making mistakes, this will happen where you use the shovel and it might cancel. But against Sculpture, even as a good grave digger, this will sometimes happen. Sometimes you'll get pushed around when you weren't expecting it. She'll place a statue in a weird spot. You might get pushed. It'll waste your whole shovel. Now it'll save the shovel now. Specifically against Sculpture, but also maybe you have like a little girl on your team. If you get pushed around while digging down, yep, that would cancel the shovel too. Really hard for that to happen, but that, I guess it would happen. It is possible. And now it should still keep the shovel. Again, don't know why the cooldown is not shorter, but the cooldown should be 3 seconds if the balance changes are still up to date, which I'm assuming they are. They were literally sent today by Jay in my server. Which, by the way, check out in the description. You'll check out my Discord server. You'll find in the IDV news and leaks the whole list of balance changes written out by Jay here. Thank you so much, Jay, for putting all these changes out by hand. I don't know if he copy pasted these, but whatever. Anyway, the next change we're going to be going over is again, we're going to be starting off with the Survivor, but this is another really big change that I will be trying out, and it is going to be Patient. Patient is getting a buff, kind of like with Gravekeeper. Some of it is like a quality of life buff where it was really hard to use certain aspects of him, and now they added an option to make it easier to use him, but also they just made other things of him better. Specifically, they made it so that when you use the hook, it's a faster animation time. When you're hooking onto a wall, it's going to take you less time now. So I haven't seen that yet. Let's check it out right now, how much faster it's going to be. So before, to give you guys a reference, it was about 1 second. Took you 1 second after you launched the hook. No matter how far the wall is from you, it's very odd, but no matter how far the wall is from you or how close it is, it always took you about 1 second. I guess we can test it out now. Is that actually true? But anyway, now when you launch at something, it is instead going to take you less time. Let's see how much faster. Okay, that's a lot faster. That is almost no time given to the owner to actually hit you. Again, like I said before, it was about 1 second. If you go the maximum distance, it was 1 second. I want to see if you get really close. Would it still take about the same time? So you see how it still takes about the same time no matter how far you are. So it's like this hook is clearly not following the laws of physics. That no matter how far you are, it's taking the same speed to travel. I don't know. Maybe Patient just launching. He decides to launch it faster. and make it travel faster when it's further away. I don't know. But now, that is a huge difference. It's going to be a lot harder to hit a patient in the middle of the hit. But there are also other changes now. For example, you can no longer get blocked by teammates during a hook or a secondary jump. Now, we don't have any teammates here. It would be kind of hard to put a bot here without it constantly moving. But if there was a teammate in our way, we would not get blocked. I'm guessing we would just go through them. We can test it out. We'll test it out in a second, actually. But I want to see if we can still get blocked by the hunter, because this is really what happens most of the time. Can you still get blocked by the hunter? You still can get blocked by the hunter. Okay. So, the next change, this is the third change to patient. This is a huge quality of life thing. You guys will know one of the things I hate about patient is that there's going to be a lot of times where you don't have anything to really bounce off except like the wall here. I know right here there's lots of trees, but let's just assume, you know what, this is going to be a better example right here. Like right here, there's no trees, there's nothing to really jump off of. The only thing we have is this wall. You'll notice right here, if I were to use my hook right now, we would vault over the wall. That's what the orange icon means. So I'd be forced to do a crappy hook like this, and this barely gets me any jump distance. Like, I pull myself, which is nice with the buff now. Now with the buff, it is a lot faster. You waste a lot less time standing in place. That's another reason why Turn Merchant is not that good, by the way. She wastes too much time standing in place. Patient kind of had a similar problem, not as big, but, you know, it does add up with 3 hooks. There's, you know, in total 3 seconds where you're just standing still and Hunter made progress on you. But now, if you were to try to, like, let's say right now, if I were to try to hook off of this, you know, instead of bouncing off, I'm going to vault, which is not what I want to do. That's kind of a crappy wall to vault. I guess you could vault like this, but if you do this, then if the Hunter's over there, they will easily go around and hit you. So a lot of times you would just want to jump. And in the case you would want to jump off a wall, off the top of it, you can now turn it off. So now I can go as high as I want, no worries that I'm going to bounce off the wall. Sorry, vault over the wall. Now I'm going to confidently bounce off. You see, no matter how high I go, I'm not gonna vault over it, which is really nice. Now, sometimes in a situation like this, you'll have to remember to turn it back on, because right here, if I'm trying to vault over this wall, we're not gonna vault over it. So we have to physically turn it on where the icon is orange, and you can see that on your ability icon. The icon is orange on the bottom right, or the right side of the screen. You guys will see that. Now we'll be able to vault the wall, which is a huge change. Huge quality of life change, but also, I was not expecting the hook casting animation to be shortened. That is really nice as well, so I'm really excited to see that. He might genuinely be a good survivor now, because before, the problem with him was that it was just, combined with hunters who already had faster speed, or were able to jump after you, you know, the time you spent standing still definitely adds up, considering your hook is not even getting that much distance. Like if it's Opera Singer, you standing still, and, you know, considering how fast Opera Singer can travel, you're really not getting that much distance out of it. Now with the faster hook time, and the ability to consistently bounce off instead of, you know, mistakenly vaulting over, forcing yourself to go lower down, and when you go lower down, you obviously don't get as much distance. Stuff like that really hurt Patient. But now, I'm actually going to temporarily kick out Stinky here, because I want to try this with bots. We're going to try this out with bots. We're going to see if we can walk through the survivors when we hook as Patient. So, let's check this out. In the meantime, I'll read the chat. Yo, Slain is here? Slain is here, but not Bree. Damn, Bree, leaving me out in the cold like this? I'm just kidding. All right. Good night, good night, chat. It's my bedtime. Take care, Maxie, with the profile pic. No more mercenary elbow pad blocks. Does that happen? Like, you just get elbow padded right in front of you? Maybe. I've never had that happen before. But anyway, we got plenty of bots to test this buff on now. Now, when you hook with your hook now, hook with your hook. That makes a lot of sense. You now won't get blocked by teammates. So right here, there's a teammate that spawns here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it's a 1 in 3 chance that they spawn here. So you know what? If they didn't spawn there, then they spawned over here, actually. Hello, teammate. I know you're here. Don't hide from me. What the hell? He's not here? Okay. Well, when you spawn in that spawn, there isn't necessarily a survivor here. Like here, okay, this is, again, that was 2 in 3 shot and no survivor spawned by me. That's really sad. But there is someone who spawns right here. There we go. This is the other spawn. Let's test it out. Let's test it out. Can we just go right through this survivor if we use the hook? Is it just like Magician Illusion now? That's actually hilarious. You just go right through the survivor now. Just go phase right through them. That's a really nice change. Now you don't have to worry that if you've been on chair and there's a rescue right next to you or someone trying to body block, you literally cannot use your hook because that could get body blocked. Now that's not going to happen. They're literally just a ghost. This Gravekeeper literally doesn't exist. I don't know what you guys are talking about. He doesn't exist. Who said he exists? Exactly, he doesn't. So, With that being said, that's a really cool patient buff. Patient, I think, again, we might see some more patient. I'll at least be trying him out. Not my favorite survivor to use because you have to kind of prematurely use your abilities. You're not always going to be in a situation where your ability is going to get the most value, so sometimes you'll have to use it, even though it's not going to get you, even though you don't necessarily need it because the hunter's already at some, at some distance. It's like this weird in between where sometimes the hunter's like not far enough to not use your hook, but not, not far enough to not use your hook, but not close enough to like always use a hook and get greatest value out of it. Sometimes with patient, there's times where if you pass by the good hooking area, you're not going to get a hook later. That's going to be good, and then you're going to be taking hits because you're not going to have a good hooking area. Compared to if you just use the hook sooner, yeah, it's not getting the most value, but at least now it's taking you to another area where, your hooks can continually domino effect into better and better hooks. That is the idea of patient, is that your first hook should be used so that it's getting to an area where your next hook will be even better, or if you're really confident, into an area where you will definitely be able to kite for a long time and you're confident you won't need any more hooks after that, but that's pretty rare. All right, can we make forward go through survivors? I would like that buff. That would be a really nice buff. Anyway, the next change is going to be Novelist. We're not going to be putting this in a custom mode, but basically now when Novelist swaps with the Hunter, the time that the Hunter is stuck in place after you swap, because if you will notice, recently they buffed Novelist so that when you switch with the Hunter, they're stuck for like slightly over like a second or something like that, where they literally cannot move. Now they reduced that by 0.15, so now the Hunter will not be stuck in place as long, meaning that now if the Hunter, is close to the Novelist and the Novelist decides to switch spots, you will not be able to still, in every single situation where even if the Hunter wasn't that close to you, you can swap and then still make it run to the pallet and stun them if you were standing inside a pallet. Because now they won't be stunned in place for as long. So that's going to be a nice change for just to make Novelist more buffed. More balanced, I guess would say. I'm speaking in the perspective of the devs here, but if I were to actually make the change, I don't think Novelist deserved this nerf. I don't really mind that much because it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But again, this is going to hurt Novelist. I feel like Novelist deserves to be a higher tier, even for just a couple months. This was like literally a month he was usable. He was very good. And I didn't even get a chance to use him, I don't think. Did we even do a stream on the buff Novelist? But anyway, Little Girl is getting a buff. This, again, I don't think really needs to be shown in a match. Now, instead of the little girl starting with 1 page and a quarter, because the way the little girl works is that it's kind of like Prospector, where you don't start with just 1 page, you start with 1 page, and also a little bit to your next page is already charged up. So 1/4 of the way to your second page is already charged up when the game starts. Now, 6/10 of the page will be already charged up. So 0.25 before, now it's 0.6 of the way to the next page, which is going to be really handy. So now it's basically just, what is that? I think that's like 30 seconds less for your next page when the game starts. So now you'll be able to get your second page faster when the game starts. So instead of starting the page with like a page and a quarter, instead of starting the game with a page and a quarter, you start the game with a page and then 0.6 of the way to the next page. So now you're just not going to be having to wait as long. If you go into a match, I'm sure you will see that the bar on the right will be just more loaded in. There's going to be less time for your next page. So that's the idea there. And also, now you can vault stuff while you're getting pushed, which is nice, I guess, but I don't know. Usually you're not using the page and then immediately need a vault right next to something. A lot of times you're not even, unless you're the little girl, it's kind of hard to control where you get pushed. If you have a teammate, little girl, helping you out, you don't really know right when they're going to use a page. So sometimes you get pushed in the wrong direction where it's not even near the pallet or window in the first place. But now you can if you need to. It's just usually if you get pushed into a pallet, you don't really need to immediately drop it most of the time. You probably have like enough space to just do a couple of loops around it. So I don't think this is going to make Little Girl a really good survivor. Little Girl really in the first place is not that great of a survivor because there's a lot of hunters who outrange her ability. And when they get close, it's not like pushing them away does that much of a big deal. If it pushed them far away, really far away, hidden at ease, you originally had this right, then she might have been a good survivor. But at the same time, you might have to bounce her in different ways. You might have to like make it so she only starts with 1 page, or maybe start with like a 0.75 of a page at the start of the match instead of like a full page and a quarter, which is what it is right now. But then in that case, then it's kind of defeating the purpose of Little Girl. I do feel that it's kind of hard to bounce Little Girl because she's a low skill survivor. You just tap a button and it pushes the hunter away, so it's really hard to bounce her. She might even need a whole rework, honestly, at this rate, because the devs have experimented with pushing the hunter further away, like doubling the distance, But then if you think about it, there's a lot of people already play Little Girl, and Little Girl is not a good survivor, so it's very easy to deal with those Little Girl players because it's really hard to ever get page value. Usually Thunder just hits you before your page can even push them. It doesn't make a difference if you push them. A lot of Hunter abilities are able to hit you before it even does anything. If it pushed further away, it might make a difference. But again, I don't know what to say about the Little Girl. Like they could have gone through it, but then you have a very unskilled survivor in the game, and I completely understand that you don't want that either. So it's hard to balance this survivor, I will say. Meteorologist apparently got a nerf, partial buff. Again, this is not really like a mechanical thing with Meteorologist. These are just number changes, which is the stuff I'm least excited about, number changes. They're still pretty interesting, I would say. Bottle cooldown has been increased by 1 second, so now you gotta wait 11 seconds instead of 10 seconds to use the bottle. Also, when there's a chair within 12 meters and you push the Hunter, it lasts for half the duration now. Instead of lasting like, what, 2 seconds? It used to last like 2.2 something seconds if you maxed it out. Now it's only going to be like 1.1 seconds next to the rocket chair. So you cannot just push away and then the Hunter's really far away and then rescue. And then the Hunter's, again, because of how far you push away, it's basically like a free rescue if you didn't already get hit. Now it's only going to get pushed under for like that 1.1 second instead of the 2.2 seconds, which is like the longest it could last. Rough estimations here, but it's about 2 seconds. Now it's going to be about 1 second if you're next to the rocket chair. But they did buff the rain cloud. The rain cloud sucked, in my opinion, and they buffed it so that instead of increasing 6% water every second on other survivors, hold up, I'm sorry here. They actually nerfed the rain cloud. I thought they buffed it. No, they nerfed everything about Meteorologist here. I thought they buffed the Meteorologist healing from 6 seconds, from 6% to 7% per second. But no, I'm actually wrong. They nerfed the rainfall for other teammates from 8% per second to 7%. They actually made it even slower to get health from your teammates' Meteorologist. I mean, I don't know about this. I don't know about this nerf. Again, I can't say too much. I definitely feel that they should have nerfed the wind push around chairs. But I don't really know about this rain cloud thing. The rain cloud is kind of hard to even use. It wastes deco time for sure, but then again, it's better to have one person healing with a rain cloud than to have two people, healing each other. Meteorologist healing the person with their hands while the other person's getting healed. So then two people are not decoding. I guess you're still having Meteorologist decoding, but I don't know, man. I don't know about the rain cloud being nerfed. I definitely feel the rest did deserve a nerf, though. Archer's getting nerfed again. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I've used Archer. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Archer is technically above average. She's quite a bit above average. She's a very, very good survivor. And if you know how to land your shots consistently, you are always getting at least 2.5 seconds of stun every single time. Sometimes 5 times instead of 3 times because your crossbows also give laceration. Although the crossbows aren't as good, they definitely still force the Hunter to stand still. So this one, we are going to test out in the game because I am curious about this. So basically, what are the nerfs to Archer? First of all, they nerfed the crossbow. For the crossbow, instead of giving 60 laceration, will now only give 50. So now the Hunter will have to walk for longer before they get stunned, meaning there is more time where he could get hit as the Archer, even after using the crossbow. The crossbow didn't have that big of a range to begin with. So maybe now Flywheel will be a little bit better with Archer as opposed to before. 60 was quite high. You didn't necessarily always need Flywheel to survive. One good powder, one good window, and that would be enough most of the time. I still think that will be enough most of the time, but now there's, more reason to run Flywheel if you're ever supporting someone. The Hunter decides to go after you after you crossbow them, then now you can Flywheel, and there's more need to use. I guess before you also needed, though. So, overall, it's just going to take more time. There's also some more changes. The next change is that now every time you stun the Hunter, doesn't matter how you stun them, doesn't matter if you hit them in the heart directly or if they just gradually made their way up to 100, they're only stunned for 2.1 seconds now instead of 2.5. So the Hellumber now will recover a decent amount faster now. Hellumber doesn't necessarily recover faster from stuns, so nothing specific about Hellumber, just all Hunters except Waxers. Waxers recover 10% faster. All Hunters now get stunned for a little bit less, which will definitely add up. Because remember, guys, you can stun up to 3 times. So in total, we're talking 1.2 seconds in total less stun time. And your crossbow could also stun the Hunter. And now you see the crossbow only gives 50 instead of 60 like it used to. There is one more thing that's changed. So Psyche, you guys might be saying, well, Psyche, what if the Hunter stands still? Is it better to just eat the stun or is it better to stand still now? Because before, you guys remember, I would say that if you hit the Hunter in the head or anywhere that's not in the heart, I told you guys that it doesn't matter in that case because I've tested it that it takes 2.5 seconds to go from 50 to 0, but it also takes 2.5 seconds to recover from a stun. So as a hunter, it doesn't matter what you do. You're always getting 2.5 seconds wasted. That's what made Archer so good, is that even if you didn't hit them in the heart, unless you needed the stun that moment, you can shoot them anywhere, and if they stand still, it's waste 2.5 seconds. That's how long it takes to go from 50 to 0. Or if they just or if they just gradually rise from 50 to 100, that also stuns for 2.5 seconds. But they did a little bit changing. So not only is the stun only 2.1 seconds now, it also says that it takes less time to go from 50 or whatever laceration counter you're at to 0. So before it was 2 seconds. Now I want to see this. Is it still going to be 2 seconds? Sorry, before it was 2.5 seconds, not 2 seconds. I'm guessing it's going to be 2.1 seconds now. Let's try to count how long it takes to go from 50 to 0. This is going to be kind of hard. 0, 1, 2. So it's not 2.5 seconds anymore to go from 50 to 0. It's definitely a little bit less than that. It looks like it's about 2.2, maybe 2.5, maybe 2.1. We could try it again. 0, 1, 2. It looks like it's 2.1 seconds now. So just like how you shoot the hunter, the stun lasts 2.1 seconds. Oh, what is this? Okay, that's a new feature. I don't think we'll talk about it this stream, but you can now record your voice. Just tell to tell the device what ping you want to use without having to walk over and try to find it. Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Whoa. This by itself, that's a lot. All right, okay. So competitive just got a lot better without voice chat. Anyway, so Archer got a pretty major nerf. So now if you shoot the hunter and they get stunned, they only get stunned for 2.1 instead of 2.5 seconds. And if you shoot them anywhere else and they decide to stand still, it only takes 2.1 seconds to go from 50 to 0 instead of 2.5. I will still say, though, that in the past, if the hunter were for whatever reason ever like hit 90, let's say they hit 90, at that point, it's better to eat the stun because it's going to take more time to go from 90 to 0 than it is to just increase it to 100 and just wait out the stun. That's still going to be true, but it's just going to take less time as well to go from 90 to 0. I mean, anyway, you should still be eating the stun, but if you're a less experienced hunter, you're not going to be waiting as long, I guess. If you didn't already know that just eating the stun at that point is faster than to sit around and wait for it to go from 90 to 0. Because again, remember, to go from 50 to 0, it takes 2.1 seconds. If you get stunned, you also get stunned for 2.1 seconds. So basically what I'm saying is, as a hunter, it almost always is better to keep chasing your target instead of standing still. Just because of the fact that if you get stunned, if you have some stun resistance, that'll decrease the stun. But also, it'll give you an opportunity to hit the survivor before the stun sets in. But just so you guys know, to wait around from 50 to 0 or to get stunned doesn't matter. It's both 2.1 seconds now. Just like before where both was 2.5 seconds, usually it's better to keep it running after the survivor because at least maybe you have a chance at hitting them with your ability. So that's Archer's nerf. Again, a little bit sad because I wanted to see Archer get a little bit more use, at least in a tournament, you know. But whatever, it is what it is. I will admit she was pretty good. Lucky Guy got a pretty big buff. I don't know if Lucky Guy is going to be like consistently good now. But I know those matches, those streams, where I forget to pick my character. Dude, I'm getting tired out. Those streams where I forget to pick a character and I just go Lucky Guy. Lucky Guy's going to be a little bit better now. I like to not have pre-selected survivors just because it's kind of fun going Lucky Guy every once in a while when you didn't expect it. But they did some changes to Lucky Guy. Now, guys, Lucky Guy is just like Thief. Lucky Guy opens chests 100% faster instead of 60% faster. Fun fact, he used to open the chest at the same speed as any other survivor. That was crazy to think about. Did you know Lucky Guy could not wish for items back then? Yeah, even crazier. He literally had no ability. But apparently now, not only is it faster to open chests, but the animation actually lift the chest is faster. Let's see how much faster. Let's just wish for something, a flashlight. Okay, that looks like the same speed. What about closing? That looks like the same speed. So I don't really know what's going on here. It says in the patch notes that the opening and closing of chests is faster. I don't really notice it. Looks the same speed to me, and I've been playing this game for many years. That is literally the same speed as any other survivor. But you do open the chest. You do open the chest. The actual animation time of searching through it is 100% now instead of instead of 60% faster. Flashlight wish probability is now 100% now. So if you want to wish for a flashlight, instead of getting a 50% chance, it is now a 100% chance. And I do want to say that I know this sounds kind of like a joke, because like, why are they making the flashlight better on Lucky Guy who's using a flashlight on Lucky Guy? Guys, flashlight is actually a really good ability, and that's why I use Thief. It's actually a pretty good ability. If the hunter is something like Clerk, Clerk has nothing to do about it. If the hunter is something like Embalmer, Embalmer has nothing to do about it. Literally, if you were to go after... If you were to chase after the survivor, it's pretty easy to just go in a straight line, run backwards, and no matter what, the survivor is going to be able to use the flashlight on you. As long as you're aiming the scream. I can't really aim the scream right now because I'm holding 2 screens at the same time, both hands. Here's my phone. There's Embalmer. But I think that's pretty cool. I will say they did nerf the flashlight. For Lucky Guy, they made it so instead of using the usage time being 26 seconds, it's 19.5. So they took off 5.5 seconds off of the flashlight, so it's not as good on Lucky Guy. But again, there are some hunters where the flashlight is very good, and on Moonlit specifically, the flashlight, it has a lot of good areas to use it in. You could use it on the 4th stop, the 1st stop, where the hunter drops down. That's a flashlight stun. Oh, that's a spoiler. I mean, I think this is an overall buff for Lucky Guy, but the main biggest buff for Lucky Guy is that if your wish fails, guys, you are not going to be getting a syringe anymore. If you wish for an elbow pad and then you get a syringe, those days are gone. Those days are gone because right now the way it works is that you will only pull items that have a 50% chance of getting pulled. So if you wish for like an elbow pad, which is a 50% chance of getting pulled, and you fail of getting the elbow pad, you will still get the items that have a 50% chance. So no longer will you get a syringe because the syringe is now 100%. Syringe has always been 100% chance, but now when you pull for an item and you fail to get it, it's not going to be a syringe anymore. Like, you're full health and you get a syringe. Great example, start of the kite happens, you wish for something from the lucky parcel, you wish for an elbow pad because maybe it's like, I don't know, Ripper or something where you need distance, and you get a syringe. The game is basically over. You're not going to be able to 3-cyber kite a Ripper at that point unless he messes up all his foggy blades. Now you'll get a mechanic robot, a football, something that has a 50% chance, and was possible to get for any other survivor. In the past, I will say that it was not completely like that. I know Flashlight had a 50% chance, you know, of getting it, but you would never get Flashlight if you didn't wish for it. So I don't know what exactly this buff you know, changes compared to the old, but in terms of the new now, basically anything that was 50% now, you saw right there. You can go back in the stream, see what was 50%, see what was not 50%. It means that you'll never get a flashlight. It's pretty much what it means if you didn't wish for a flashlight. But it's a little bit confusing because in the past, you'd also never get a flashlight if you didn't wish for it. So in some cases, like the syringe, were completely removed. In other cases, if I didn't wish for a flashlight, you know, I wouldn't mind getting a flashlight still. Flashlight would still be a pretty good item. I'd probably rather get a flashlight by chance than like a mechanic doll by chance if I'm planning on kiting. So I guess you'll never get a flashlight now is pretty much what it means. But if you wish for a flashlight, you have a 100% chance of getting it. But again, in the past, you'd also not get a flashlight. So it's if you fail your wish, it's pulled from the same drop rate as all other survivors. If a regular mercenary were to search in a chest, there's certain items he can pull and certain items he cannot pull. You can never pull a Gardener toolbox. You can never pull a lawyer map. You can never pull a flashlight. Which honestly, I feel like you should be able to pull a flashlight as other survivors. But anyway, that's going to be the end of the survivor buffs, guys. Now we're going to get into the hunter buffs. So the first hunter buff we're going to be looking at is Clown. Clown got a pretty big change. Clown now, apparently with Clown, when you move around with Clown, you are not always going to get your rocket dash interrupted if you crash into an obstacle. Before, if you touched anything, it would immediately crash. So that just made him really unforgiving. It made it really hard to play him. It meant that only experienced people could really play Clown. And, you know, what's the point of that in that case playing Clown? If you had to spend so much time training to play Clown, just for him to not even be that good in the first place, there's not much point. So I want to see exactly what is different here. Let's try it out. So let's say if I touch this barrel. Okay, so we get like half a second grace period, and then we're not able to use the rocket anymore. So there is like a half a second where you are going to still be able to react. And it might seem a little bit silly, like what is half a second going to do for you? But in situations like this, where maybe you'll touch the box here, Oh, but now you can react. You see, we would have crashed there in the past. Maybe if you didn't know that box was there, you might turn, you might not know it's there, and now you're getting punished for it. Or maybe if there's a very complex area to navigate, maybe even this area, you can touch the pallet for a bit now without crashing, or this crate for a little bit without crashing, or this blue thing for a little bit. It kind of depends, but the point is that you touch it enough to slide off of it, and it's not really noticeable. Like this barrel right here, we're going to test with this barrel if we were to aim directly at this barrel. I do want to see, by the way, really quickly with Clown, that the first like 2 seconds that you're using the dash, you cannot possibly crash. The game prevents it. So like right there, we're never going to crash. That was the same as before. Now, after those 2 seconds pass, here's what's different. Now when the 2 seconds pass, there's still like a half-second grace period for anything else you crash into. So this barrel, we just slid right off of it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I really like that. Really convenient change for situations like either random obstacles or maybe passing by doorways now, or these random things. Maybe you touch this wall for a little bit. Maybe you touch the pallet here for a little bit. It's just nice. All right, now it's a little bit more realistic to play Clown, and I like that. That's definitely a great change to Clown. So there are more changes for Clown. Now, rocket parts spawning has been optimized. Basically, rocket parts could spawn in really weird, strange places on the map. Here's a pretty good example. So it'll still happen where rocket parts will spawn on random edges of the map where you're never going to walk to. But ideally, I'm going to guess that it's now going to spawn around ciphers. Yes, so it seems like this is the new logic, the new optimization, is that now you'll get a couple rocket pieces consistently around each cipher here. At least one of each, it looks like. So that's what it looks like here, which is a really nice change because there are going to be times where you have an infinite rocket, but you don't have wind wings. So a long time ago, fun fact, all rocket pieces were randomized. There was no rhyme or logic to where these pieces spawn. They could even spawn in the basement, which now I don't think is the case. But back then, they could spawn everywhere. Sometimes you'd walk into the basement, there were like 6 pieces inside of the basement. They've done a lot of buffs to Clown, but probably one of the biggest buffs they've done is that now infinite rockets always have specific places where they spawn. They will always spawn at specific spots. What are those spots exactly, you might be asking? Though they're in spots where a cipher can potentially spawn by. So I know right here there's no cipher, but sometimes a cipher spawns here. So because of that, that's enough for the game to be like, okay, I'll spawn a rocket here for you because sometimes a cipher spawns here. So that's where the infinite rocket logic comes from. You see right here, we got another infinite rocket. But, or sometimes you get lucky and you'll find like an infinite rocket around the map, but basically they just made it so, a long time ago they made it so infinite rockets always spawn around ciphers or important points on the map. But it seems like now you also get all the other items as well. You get a wind wings here, you get a modified drill. So maybe if there's a mercenary on the team, you would want to put a modified drill on your infinite rocket. So if you find the mercenary, put a modified drill on him. It's going to take him forever to heal now. Maybe you have survivors that are, run away from you, patient, forward. You definitely want to have wind wings on you. Now you're always going to have wind wings spawning next to you right here. There's always one of each of the piece at least, which is going to be, again, small changes like this make hunters like Clown more consistent. And his kit is not bad. His kit is honestly not that bad. His only weakness is cipher pressure. And honestly, when you're not in the middle of picking survivors up or getting harassed, his cipher pressure is great. Because he's one of the few hunters who can instantly travel around the map and immediately put damage on you, which is a really big idea. So, okay. There is another change with Clown. And this one is probably one of my favorites. In the past, the way Clown Dash worked is if it got interrupted, the cooldown would be, instead of 10 seconds, or whatever it is right now, I think it's 12 seconds. Instead of being 12 seconds, it's 6 seconds. Every time you get flywheeled, hit a magician illusion, or get stunned, it would be reduced from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. But you would still lose your rocket pieces. Right now, we have 6, 5, and 4 rocket pieces right now. If I were to swing, I would lose it, and I'd have to put on a new one, and now it goes down to 3. You will notice right now that when I get shot by this lucky guy as I'm dashing, I'm not going to lose it. In fact, it comes back to me. The number actually went up right there. I still have to reapply it, unfortunately. I don't know why they made you have to reapply it. But again, you also notice that the cooldown was shorter. That was already there, but now the difference is you now also keep your rocket pieces, so you won't just straight up lose an infinite rocket every time you get Enchantress stunned, or every time you get Prospector stunned. So that's a really big deal. And now Clown is just going to be a lot more playable. I wonder if we're actually going to see Clown now. We might actually see Clown now. So I'm very interested in that. But besides that, that is relatively the same. There are some animation changes. Hold up, there's actually a lot of stuff. You know, besides Ripper, Clown was the other hunter who got so many changes, and he might actually be a good character now. So let's see here. The next change is that when you hit a pallet with your rocket, it's 0.2 seconds shorter. So if I were to hit this pallet with my rocket, it's now only going to be 0.2 seconds shorter of an animation. And it definitely looks a little bit faster. It's hard to tell. It definitely looks faster. It's a little bit hard to tell. But again, if you read the patch notes and then you look in game, it's like, oh yeah, that was a little bit faster. But there's a different change where if you ever crash, object collision animation reduced by 0.3 seconds. If you ever crash, obviously you never want to crash. So this is kind of like, again, a training wheels buff for clown players who are learning clown and might crash every once in a while. The animation is faster. Look at how much faster the animation is. Quite a bit faster. It's 0.3 seconds faster. Kind of just like hitting pallets, 0.2 seconds. The pallet one matters more, though, because you're going to be breaking pallets quite a bit with the rocket dash. So it'll add up. There's going to be times where you're going to be able to break the pallet and maybe just barely hit the survivor before they reach the next powder window. In this situation, it wouldn't matter because there's a window right there. Or on Arsaki in general, there's a lot of pallets to use. All right, next character. Holy crap, this is going to turn out to be a really long stream. It's like a regular rank stream. I started a while ago. I'm like, what's taking so long? Did he go over the map changes yet? No, I haven't. But those are going to be the most exciting changes for me. Besides these characters, I mean, you're not always going to be playing these characters, but you'll definitely go against them a lot. You know, a lot of hunters were changed, a lot of survivors were changed. No matter which faction you play, you're going to experience these changes, but I also like the map changes. I always felt the map changes affected everyone, but they did enough balances where I think this is going to affect players almost every single match. Now, we have a really fun buff. This is a really fun buff. Ripper is already generally a pretty fun character with how fast you can be and moving around the map and getting hits over pallets and windows. It's really satisfying. But now, guys, they massively buffed Ripper. Ripper got a bunch of buffs. Let's start off with the most obvious one. It now takes 18 seconds instead of 20 seconds to charge up your Foggy Blade. Pretty big difference. Because now, every time you hit a survivor with Foggy Blade, now it's going to take 2 seconds less. And then you hit them again. Now it's going to take 4 seconds less for your next Foggy Blade. And then 6 seconds. And it stacks up and stacks up. You know, these number changes, I know, are not the most exciting, but they do matter for hunters like Ripper, who's completely dependent on his ability. His whole ability is dependent on only hitting with Foggy Blades. It's really hard to otherwise hit survivors with regular hits, unless you're already invisible. So at the bottom of the screen, you will see something. You will see that no longer do we have the cooldown on the bottom right. We have these foggy bars at the bottom. And you'll notice that they're in 2 separate bars, but you will also notice that each one takes 9 seconds to charge. That's where the 18-second cooldown comes from. But if we really want to, now we can do a different form of attack. We can do the faster Ripper attack. One of the things I absolutely hate about Ripper is how long his attack is. That means if you're like a survivor or something like that, you could just easily move out the way. You could clearly see he's in the middle of swinging and just react to that. But there's a new attack. This one is a lot faster. This is double attack speed. And if the survivor gets hit by this one, you'll notice that... First of all, I'm pretty sure the Foggy is the same speed, but the attack is faster. Is the attack faster? No, the attack is exactly the same. Okay, originally it was going to be different. Originally it was going to be faster, so I'm a little bit disappointed about that. But you know what? It's fine, cause the idea of this buff is that there were well, I guess that changes a couple things. There were times where with Ripper where you don't want to commit your whole Foggy Blade. Like let's say someone is rescuing on this chair and they have a chance of dodging it. Well, the problem with using a basic attack is your basic attack range is quite big. It is pretty easy to accidentally hit the survivor and it's going to trigger attack recovery. If you're trying to hit them with the Foggy Blade, you might accidentally trigger attack recovery. But with the regular attack, not the regular attack, but with the special attack, I'm pretty sure your range is smaller. So that's it's kind of hard to test. kind of hard to test because he keeps dying. I do notice that there's like this really annoying wind sound in the back constantly with Ripper now. Like it sounds like bats are screeching the whole time. So that's a basic hit, but if you were to use this attack, it's not counting as a basic attack, and instead it puts the Foggy Blade on them. So it's just more forgiving. I do want to say though that if you go too close, it triggers a new unique recovery for Ripper. It is a little bit faster than the regular one, but the point is that if you are out in the open, and the biggest problem with Ripper is that if you miss the Foggy Blade, you just committed all your Foggy Blade and you're going to be waiting a long time for 20 seconds. Now, instead of waiting 20 seconds, you're going to wait 18 seconds. But also, when you're going to be going after these survivors out in the open, you don't have to commit all your ability. You can just use a little bit, and also your what's it called? Your range isn't as unforgiving. You could get closer to the survivor without triggering attack recovery. Like right there, that would have 100% triggered regular attack recovery. Like look at how close we are before it triggers attack recovery. Like you got to get right next to the survivor before it triggers attack recovery. As opposed to like the regular attack, in the past you could be like right here, and that triggers attack recovery. So that's kind of why Ripper was always so annoying to use, because a lot of times you're actually triggering attack recovery and you really don't want to. I will say they took off a really important change for Ripper, so he's not going to be as good as I was hoping for. Originally, when Ripper charge attacked, you did not waste any Fog Blades. So that was your one way to make sure if you don't want to waste any Fog Blades, and you just want to get a regular hit in, you would just charge attack without wasting the Fog Blade. But unfortunately, the Fog Blade gets wasted. I know right now it looks like we didn't waste it, but that's because we turned off cooldown. It is going to get wasted now. In the past, if you charge attack, you would save it, which would have been literally the lifesaver for Ripper. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. So that's a little bit sad. One thing I do want to say, if you have one half of Foggy Blade and you attack, it is not going to come out. It will only come out if you do the special attack. So like right now, again, I have a half a Foggy Blade, if you want to think about it that way, or one Foggy Blade. But it will not come out until there's 2 charges on it. So this is the regular Fog Blade. The regular Fog Blade will always do 1 hit worth of damage. And this one does 1/4 damage. I'm just letting you guys know, for those of you who want to strategize to play Ripper and how good is he going to be, this definitely makes him a lot better, that the range is smaller, and so you can get closer to the survivor, pretty much guarantee hit them with the Foggy Blade without accidentally triggering attack recovery. And it makes a pretty big deal, because right there we would have 100% been triggering attack recovery. Go to bed. So I think this is going to be a good change for Ripper, but you know, because they removed the charge attack thing, and also they removed the ability to just swing way faster with the special Foggy Blade hand than it is now, it's not going to be as good. But still, the cooldown being 18 seconds instead of 20, it definitely adds up. It's kind of like Blood Queen Mirror. Like imagine a Blood Queen Mirror came back 2 seconds faster. You just get so many more Blood Queens throughout the whole match. We got an opinion from the chat here. If I'm being honest, I don't think the charge attack buff matters anymore. After playing Ripper for so long, the chip attack is more than enough to save the normal Fog Blade. Interesting. Okay. Even if the mini Fog Blade hits the survivor, they don't get the speed boost. That's a really good thing to point out. That's really interesting. Thank you for letting us know that, yes. So that's a pretty big deal, that you hit the survivor with a regular Fog Blade and they don't get speed boost. It basically means that unless the survivor is at half health, it's going to just be better to put charge hits on them. Not charge hits. Mini Fog Blades on them, because they're not going to get a boost. It's going to be pretty easy, if they're not already by a window or pallet, to just farm hits on them, and that way you don't have to worry about saving the Fog Blade, charge attack. I still think it would be nice though, because there are going to be times like maybe you're attacking someone who's half health, right? And then you got a harasser to deal with. It still would matter. It definitely helps that the charge attack, the new attack makes it so that it's pretty easy to not accidentally trigger attack recovery. They don't get a boost out of it, so it seems like it's always better to use it, but there are sometimes times where it is going to matter. It is going to matter to save your Fog Blade. There are going to be times where you're going to knock someone down and there's going to be a forward waiting for you or a batter waiting for you. Imagine how nice it would be if you could knock down the survivor without using the Fog Blade and then chase that same person. And remember, when you knock down a survivor, you become invisible because they leave a fog zone around them. So you immediately become invisible and you still saved your Fog Blade. So it's pretty easy to go after that harasser. It would make a pretty big difference in that kind of situation. So I still think it would obviously be better. I mean, the more versatile, the better, right? You don't have to use it. if you don't need it. But if you do want to use it, it's there, and it will matter sometimes to use it. Oh man, you're running a lot. I think the reason it doesn't feel as bad is because it charges up so quickly. You're right. You're definitely right. 9 seconds instead of 10 seconds, it adds up. It definitely adds up. And I've played one match of Ripper so far. You'd be surprised how often you find yourself using Fog Blades. Now that you have them cut in half, you find yourself using it a lot more frequently, where before you'd be like 3 or 2 seconds off and you just get no Fog Blade now out of it. Someone would come to rescue right before your Fog Blade comes back, and now you're not getting even a chance at Fog Blade. Now you at least have that quarter damage, and maybe, just maybe, you'll stall long enough to even get a second one as well. So, plus you're not going to give them a speed boost when you hit him with that, which is another advantage. I do wish that the speed attack would be faster, so it's, again, not as easy to see Ripper swing and just dodge out the way. But, you know, and the charge attack as well, it's going to matter if there's a harasser waiting for you right after you knock down your survivor. You'd want to save your Fog Blade in that case, but I think still a really good buff. We'll see if he becomes meta now. So I'm thinking he might. I'm thinking he will. If you ban Antiquarian and, you know, Priestess. Here's another thing, guys. Priestess. It would be really nice to charge attack and break the portal. But again, what you're saying is right. Now you can spend half of a Foggy Blade instead of your whole Foggy Blade. That's still not great. I'd still rather save it if I had the option to, but I guess waiting 9 seconds is not as bad as waiting 20 seconds. But anyway, let's move on to the next hunter. Again, a lot to say about Ripper. There's a lot of strategy involved in this rework for Ripper. And so that's why I'm most excited for Ripper. I feel like it's going to change quite a bit. So let's do Soul Weaver now. Soul Weaver got a buff. I didn't hear about this. People didn't talk about this at all. But apparently Soul Weaver is getting a buff. They, first of all, improved the web placement logic. I had this thing where I was playing Spider the other day. I was going up the basement stairs. It put the spider web literally through the wall of the basement, and so I just wasted 17 webbed. Okay. Hello, Psyche. How are you? Welcome, Lucy. I'm good. We're doing the balance changes. But anyway, they've improved the web placement logic, so now I'm assuming it's not going to go through walls as much as it used to. But more importantly, they buffed the hitbox of the web. So before, you'd have times where there's a very awkward wall. If I could find an example, like this one would be a good example. In the past, because it's not directly right next to you, you are not going to be able to get this web. And it looks like you still are not going to be able to get off this web. Okay, that's not a really great example. But if you were to put your web on the side of like a really weirdly shaped obstacle, which I guess we should probably find a little bit better of an example of something that's like weirdly shaped and it could go inside of. Eversleeping has a lot of those, but this is also another decent example, I would say, where now the hitbox is just improved, so it's easier to touch the web if it's like inside of an obstacle, which, again, you'd be surprised how often it happens. It's kind of hard to recreate an example, but this kind of stuff will happen on weirdly shaped obstacles where it might just spawn partially inside, and it's kind of hard to touch the web, but now you will see it kind of sticks out a little bit more, so it's a little bit easier to trigger. A really nice quality of life thing. It just means that now there's more places you can place web without it screwing you over, which is really nice. And also, apparently now, if you have full presence, they kind of gave Spider the Goatman treatment. The way that Goatman works right now, at least when you're watching this video, is that Goatman, when he gets full presence, he gets his cages back faster. They made a buff for Spider so that apparently, with full presence, you get Silk back faster, which is really nice. And so instead of taking, right now it takes 1.2 seconds. I never knew that. I just assumed it was 1, and honestly 1 is close enough. But now, with full presence, instead of recovering 1.2 seconds, you recover you recover 1.4 thread instead of 1.2 every second, which is really nice. You know, these kinds of buffs, they add up. Similar to the Foggy Blade one, where it may not seem like 2 seconds is a big deal, but considering that you can now split it in halves, you find yourself having a lot more opportunities to use Foggy Blades, and now you're constantly gaining your next Foggy Blade while still being able to use the one you already have, which is why Ripper kind of struggled that when he would have his Foggy Blade, and then he uses it, there's just 20 seconds where the survivor can do whatever they want, doesn't matter. Now there's only 9 seconds of when the survivor can do whatever they want, and then after that, they gotta play the stalling game, gotta make their distance, and if they're not at a distance, then Ripper can immediately use his Foggy Blade while already gaining charge to his next one. Kind of like Hermit, Why Hermit is so bad early game? Because he doesn't start with any stacks early game. He's stuck with one polarity, and until he uses it, he's not gaining anything to his next polarity. But with full presence, you get stacks of it. So while the Survivor's stalling out your first one, you're still gaining your next one. That's why the Ripper buff, I think, is going to be pretty effective. But now, as this game was progressing, again, as the game progresses with Soul Weaver, you'll get webs faster than before. Now it's 1.4 instead of 1.2. A small change, but if you think about it, if 5 seconds pass, you now have an extra web that before you wouldn't have. Over 10 seconds, you'll have 2 extra webs. Over 3, and when I say web, I mean thread holding, not like a whole web that you can place. So it takes 17 to place 1 web every time. And so over 5 seconds, instead of having, instead of gaining whatever you would with 1.2, you now will gain 1.4 per second, and that's going to equal 1 extra web. Because if 1.2 times 5, that equals 6 web, but 1.4 times 5, oh, he just straight up does. 1.4 times 5, now you're going to get an extra web out of that. Instead of gaining, what is 1.4 times 5? 1.4 times 5 is, it's 7, right? It's 7, I think. So let's think about this. 1.2 times 5 over 5 seconds, you'd get 6 webs, but 1.4 over 5 seconds, you will now have 7 webs. So every 5 seconds you're getting an extra web than you would before. Again, it's gonna add up over time. But not the biggest buff to Spider. It's just like more of a quality of life thing. You don't like doing math. Okay, well, good for you. That you don't really have to. It just kind of does it for you. But just kind of like to think about in the long term, how much more are you getting? I'm going to be honest, not that much more. So it would take you over a minute to get like an extra web where otherwise you wouldn't have. But that extra web might save your life. And, barely get that hidden by having that extra web. So little stuff like this, it matters in the long run, but immediately you're not going to see the result of full presence saving your games like with Sculptor or some hunter like that. Oh, man. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would take. We should probably speed this up. So, the next hunter they change is Wu Chang. Wu Chang. Overall, mediocre hunter, has always been a mediocre hunter, but he's definitely been very fun to use, and now he's just a little bit better. So, Wu Chang, they've done a lot of things with Wu Chang. First of all, if you get hit by the bell and you fail the calibration, there is like a second and a half where the survivor normally cannot interact with pouch or windows. But you were still able to use items, and apparently you could even emote to cancel, which I didn't know about. Now the emote will not cancel the bell animation, because before, if we were to happen, I guess in theory, if that were to happen, what you would do is, if you were to try to miss the bell calibration, you'd purposely use the emote, start the bell calibration sooner so that you can fail it. And I guess you could probably use it again. Someone will have to tell me how this works, because I've never heard of this. But what I do understand is that when you get hit by a bell, you used to be able to like use an elbow pad right before the bell calibration happens, depending on how close or how far the bell is to the left side of the screen when you're trying to hit it, of course. So now all it means is that you're not going to be able to use your item pretty much until after you're finished. So my man is holding a pocket watch right here, and I literally cannot use this pocket watch. It's literally not allowing me to use the pocket watch until the bell animation is finished. So that'll sometimes matter, like Perfumer, I guess, would matter. Like you literally cannot use your ability while you're doing the bell, trying to hit the bell calibration. So that's going to matter for, I wonder if it would matter for Flywheel. It might matter for Flywheel. I wonder if you can still use Flywheel while you're in the bell animation. But they also nerfed they also buffed the cooldown. Instead of being 15 seconds, it's 14 seconds. Okay, so 1 second less. There are some times where you're like 1 second off from barely hitting the star with the bell, and then that 1 extra second allowed them to reach a powder window. Now they can cancel it. So that's nice. There is another buff to Wu Chang's bell. Not bell, to the umbrella. Now when a survivor is caught inside the umbrella and then they walk out, the effects of the umbrella will stay for an extra 8 seconds. For an extra 8 seconds is a lot. From 5 seconds to 8 seconds. So before, for those that don't know this, as a survivor, if you got seen by the umbrella, after you walk out, there was still 5 seconds where he could see you. Now the timer is 8 seconds though. There's now 8 seconds where he can see you. And you're also going to get affected by its other effects, which I'm actually not sure what its other effects are. Its other effects are movement speed is reduced and interaction speed is decreased. So even when this lucky guy, you know, is walking here away, I'm noticeably slower. I guess I'm a little bit slower. It's hard to tell. But more importantly, the umbrella effects are going to allow you to catch up to survivors even when they walk away from the umbrella for longer. And even when you remove the umbrella, these effects still stay. They do still walk slower, and they will also vault slower. Now, I will say, by the way, it doesn't really matter, because what you could do is you can do this. If you're at like a window where you're threatening... Okay, well, let's do a little bit better than that. If you're at a window... You know what? This is actually a better example. This one was a better example. If you're at a window like this where you throw the umbrella... Man, I hate that it does that. I gotta, like, tap it. If you're at an umbrella like this and you're baiting him to vault, you just don't have to vault, and the survivor will always be able to make the vault before you can swing in time because of the time it takes to actually grab the umbrella. You see this animation time of actually grabbing the umbrella back. During this time, it's not possible to swing in time. I mean, even if I was sitting by the window, we would not be able to hit him there because you're just able to vault faster. Although I will say, you do vault slower. You can notice it. I'm pretty sure that was already there. The only difference is that it lasts 8 seconds now instead of 5 seconds. So even after he grabs his umbrella and you vault away, that should be a fast vault. If you get a fast vault, you're not getting it there. There's still, I guess, an extra 3 seconds where you're getting slowed down and you interact slower, which, again, I don't know what to say about that. He still has some pretty major flaws, though. Like, right there, that's a huge flaw. You throw an umbrella on the other side of the window, and there's still not a whole lot you can do about it. They're just going to wait it out, and you can always vault and not get hit in time. A little bit hard because I'm playing on 2 screens right now, but you get the idea. There are some other buffs, though. First of all, White Guard's range was increased by 0.2. So now the normal attack is slightly further away. This one is really hard to like prove in a match that it's been increased, because 0.2 is such a small change. Even 1 meter is barely anything. In terms of attack range, 1 meter is a lot, but in terms of like just general distance, what is 1 meter in this game? 1 meter would be like 1 step that Wu Ching takes. That's like 1 meter. This is barely anything. So imagine 0.2. It's really hard to visualize it. But the Black Guard actually has even more increased range. So now the Black Guard will swing from further away and hit. I feel like you could notice that. That I feel like before was not in range, and now it is in range, which is pretty handy. So like I think before this would not be in range. I guess this. It's kind of, again, it's really hard to test. Like, it's really small. But like now you can barely get extra hits in. And fun fact, the charge attack for Black Guard is now slightly bigger than a regular attack for White Guard. So now it's 3.2 seconds. I don't know why I swing in that direction. So now the range of your charge attack is slightly bigger as well. You know, nice small little things to White Guard and Black Guard. Every once in a while it's going to make a difference when the star is barely able to reach that powder window. Now you're able to hit them. But if you're White Guard, then you're anyway using charge attack. And if you're Black Guard, then it's always nice for Black Guard. But for White Guard, you're usually always using charge attack, so it doesn't matter that much. Evil Reptilian. He got a buff. When he's holding balloons and he swings, the duration of the attack is longer. What exactly does that mean? I think this is best visualized with Blood Queen, honestly. If you guys see Blood Queen, the way she attacks in balloons. I went to my Discord and saw Psychic Stream and thought it was glitchy. Give Wu a first attack like... what's his name? Who's FG? Like Fool's Gold? Hold up, who are we supposed to be doing? Lizard. Oh, no. Let's do Blood Queen, because Blood Queen is a better example of this. It says slightly. So if you guys play Lizard, you'll notice this, I guess. You should never be giving balloon hits to Lizard. But basically, when Lizard is holding balloons out and he swings his attack, there's a longer period of time where if you walk into his range after he swings, it'll still count as damage. So the best example of this that you can see in the game is Blood Queen. Because what happens with Blood Queen is if you're holding someone in balloons and you decide to attack, right? Let's say you decide to attack and you pick them up, you will notice that, look how long Blood Queen holds her weapon out. There's like a solid 1 second where the weapon is out, and if you walk anywhere in front of you during that time, and if there's a survivor in your way, it will do damage to you even if it wasn't right as you swung. If you swing like this and then walk in range, it will still do damage. So that's what they changed with Lizard, is now after you swing and then walk in range, there's more time where it will count as an injury now. Where before it wouldn't. Before it was a lot more immediate. And if you didn't swing, if you didn't hit them in that immediate swing, there's not going to be that damage that you need to get. So now it's going to work more like Blood Queen. Again, maybe it'll make a difference every once in a while. I guess when we play Lizard on like a wheel randomizer and I need to swing in balloons, I'll notice it. Let's actually play a just to test it out. Let's try it out on some bots. Fool's Gold. Okay, so you're saying give Wu a first attack like Fool's Gold, and that skill already becomes way better. So when he comes, oh, that would be nice. That honestly would be nice. Like as fast as Fool's Gold. I hear you. I hear you. That'd be a cool idea. Anyway, now that you guys understand, hopefully you understand the buff using that Blood Queen visual. Again, Blood Queen is the best one for that. She has the best duration on balloons, where she'll just point her weapon out. If you walk into anyone during that time, you will still hit them, even if it wasn't immediate. That's basically what they buff for Lizard. You swing and then you walk in range, it'll still do damage. There's more time where it'll count as damage. And so I guess let's try it out on Lizard. We'll see how much more generous it is. Dude, there's a lot of talking. My voice is dry. And we're not even really that close to being done. I guess some of these things we don't really need to go over in a match. Oops. Okay, so let's pick up a survivor. And let's teleport to another. I actually don't know if you can teleport while holding people. Can you teleport to survivors while holding someone? Can you? No, you can't. So we just have to walk to the next survivor, which I can't remember where they are. I don't remember where exactly they are. Are they right here? Yeah, they're right here. So now there's going to be more time where we can walk and hit the survivor. It's a very short attack, so it's going to be really hard to attack. Look how little we can walk forward after we attack. Unlike Blood Queen, who like took 2 steps and then it finally forced her to stop. With Lizard, it's still going to be basically right as you walk in range, really. If you're not already in range, then you're probably not going to hit them. I will say the hitbox is pretty big. The hitbox is big, at least, but in terms of the actual duration, that's not going to change much. It looks like it's about the same, so whatever. Lizard got a buff, guys. Now the devs are not going to buff Lizard for the next year because they buffed him, guys. That's basically what that means. Okay. So now we're going to do Bon Bon. Bon Bon basically got a buff to mostly his camping. Now you guys might be wondering, why is Bon Bon getting a buff to his camping of all things? Isn't he already the best camping hunter? Well, kind of, but also not really. The problem with Bon Bon is that you put someone on chair, and then if people don't rescue, you wasted all that time on chair. Now other hunters, they could still pressure the ciphers during that time, but not Bon Bon. He can't do that really very well. So what they decided to give to Bon Bon is they decided to give him the ability to kill survivors faster, so that he's not wasting as much time sitting in front of the rocket chair. I think this is a really good buff. I think this is exactly how you should be fixing Bon Bon. His biggest weakness was his when people don't rescue, and then that's a tie farm for in that case, because then it's really hard to actually walk after survivors. You know, people are probably already going to be rotating off their ciphers as the person's in the middle of dying. So pretty much, if we were to teleport to a survivor right now, we're going to... this psychologist has a lot of health. We're going to go ahead and knock her down. Oh, was she not healing her? Oh no, it's because I hit her with the bomb. And when I'm going to turn off disable abilities. I don't know if this is going to make a difference. So when you chair someone, you are now able to put a bomb on their chair. After 28 seconds, if that bomb explodes in time, what's going to happen is that the chair progress will increase by 4%. And each bomb you add will, again, make it so that it increases an additional 4%, an additional 4%. So right now, when these bombs blow up, you are going to be able to increase the timer by 16% right now, because 4 times 4 is equal to 16. The timer is going to increase by 16%. Or sorry, not 16%. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that, guys. Let me rephrase that. What I meant to say is it's 4%, 4 seconds. Why did I say 4 seconds? 4% again. 4 seconds per bomb. Sorry, that's a huge difference that I meant to emphasize there. It's 4 seconds increase per bomb. So 4 times 4 equals 16 seconds. We just killed that survivor in 16 seconds faster. By the way, that's what that means. It's not 16%. Percent is very small. Seconds is a big difference because how long does a chair last, by the way, guys? 60 seconds. That's how long a chair lasts. If you put 4 bombs on a chair, you will now increase that timer by 16 seconds, which is over a fourth of that chair timer. You now sped it up by a fourth. That's basically a 25% increase in that case. And if you put a 5th bomb, well then now it's going to be 20% now. Sorry, 20%. 20 seconds now. So when this postman reaches halfway, you will see that he's going to be like around 90% now because it's going to increase by 20 seconds. And now there's only 10 seconds left to save him. You could put another bomb on him, but it's not going to trigger in time. He's just going to die and that bomb will go to waste. Now, a lot of people are telling me, Psyche, do you think this buff will make, I'm assuming people are worried that this is going to make Bon Bon too good. Now, I don't think so. I don't think this is going to make Bon Bon too good. I think this is going to make him good, which is, I think, where we want him to be. We want him to be good. We want him to fix his issues. But I want you guys to remember that early game, when you knock down your survivor, it's going to be hard to knock them down. There's going to be some bombs where you're not going to hit because they use their abilities. There's going to be some bombs where they just straight up dodge because maybe you just didn't read their mind right. Maybe you thought they'd move left and they actually moved right. And remember that every single time you try to chain bombs, that costs you 2 bombs. You start the match with 0 bombs, guys. So it's going to take you 6 seconds per bomb to get 1 bomb. And then it's going to take you 12 seconds to get 2 bombs. And you can really only get 1 chip hidden with 2 bombs. Every once in a while, you might get a chip hit with like 1 bomb if you perfectly place it. But usually, sorry, will just walk away and use their ability if it's really that big of a deal. So what I'm trying to say is by the time you knock down the survivor, if it's a good survivor who's using their abilities well, or at least enough to make you waste your time, make you waste a lot of time trying to use a lot of bombs, when you chair that survivor, it's going to look more like this. It's going to look more like you have 1 bomb remaining after you chair them. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. So at best, you'll have like 3 bombs to put on the chair. But even then the rescuer is going to see that. They're going to be like, wait a second, that person kited quite a bit. They should have wasted quite a bit of bombs. So if he just committed all his bombs on the chair, now I can go rescue. And now Bon Bon has like what? 2 bombs to pressure. Now right now, I know it says 3 and now we have 4, but that's because we have full presence. You're not going to have full presence though. In a real game, you're not going to have full presence, and it's going to be a lot harder to get bombs. And so in reality, the Bon Bon buff is early game, it's going to be a lot worse, but later game, it's going to be a lot better because you're able to get bombs so much faster. You're able to also have your 1000 presence, which counts as a whole bomb. Remember, the 1000 presence, if you hit the 1000 presence bomb, you save 2 bombs on your regular bombs. Now you're going to have more to chase with. Or if you knocked down that person before you ran out of bombs, now you have extra bombs to put on the chair. So it's going to make better. It's going to be way better with late game abilities, with late game presence with Bon Bon. But early game, it's going to be very slow to get bombs. It's going to be very slow to kill people, especially if they are using their ability well. You might be ending the chase, finally killing them with like 0 or 1 bombs in your inventory. You chair them, now you might have 2 or 3. But if you dump all your bombs on that chair, and now the rescuer's going to rush in and going to get a rescue, and when you don't have much bombs to even defend the chair at that point. So you have to remember, it's like a cost. It's like a risk reward. You're risking some bombs, but you want to keep some as well, so that if someone comes, you can defend the chair. But you're also rewarded in the case that no one comes to rescue. So what I'm trying to say is you shouldn't dump all your bombs unless you have tons of bombs. You should use some bombs and then save some others in case a rescuer comes. Unless you see all 3 ciphers shaking. If you just see all 3 ciphers shaking and there's no mercenary on the team or someone who moves fast, just put all your bombs. Just get it over with faster. So just be careful of how much bombs you put on the chair, because if they have a rescuer and he moves fast like mercenary, or maybe even patient or fire investigator, then they're going to go quickly across the map to quickly get the rescue off when you just wasted bombs on something that was not really worth it. There are a couple other buffs for Bon Bon. It's just one other bomb buff. Basically, the remote cooldown of the 1000 presence bomb, which I was actually just talking about it. It had one of the longest cooldowns in this game. Now, instead of 35 seconds, the cooldown is now going to be 30 seconds. And did you guys catch that? There's one other buff hidden in there as well. When you blow up with the bomb, the animation is 0.4 seconds shorter. So there's going to be less time you're stuck in an animation and more time we're going to be able to, after blowing up the bomb, immediately vault the window, break a pallet that's in your way maybe. Or maybe if the survivor is like over here at a window and you threw the bomb and maybe like they stood like, let's say right here, standing right there, right on the side of the bomb, and you miss. If they weren't right next to the window, which they probably cannot be, otherwise they would get hit by the bomb, then you're going to be able to get that hit now, or otherwise you would not be able to get that hit. So in a situation like this, where the survivor would have to like go to the corner here to dodge, even if you miss the bomb, as long as you're close enough, your new animation time will allow you to quickly walk up to them and hit them, where otherwise they would have dodged and then vaulted the window, and it was just too slow. The animation was too slow. So that's going to be actually a big difference in situations like that. And trust me guys, there's a lot of situations where survivors barely dodge the bomb and then quickly vault over because you don't have time to swing because your animation time. Animation times are the biggest killer in this game. Feaster, that's why Feaster's not good, because his animation time after summoning a tentacle is too long. There's a second where you cannot use the tentacle. And it's just not that good because of it. Anyway, I think we can invite Stinky back over, because we're going to have some other buffs now where we don't need the bots anymore. So, Undead. Undead got some animation changes. This is best visualized in a game. So let's just go right in a game. We're going to be playing Undead now. So, there's a couple names here. First of all, you gotta read it out and understand what these names are talking about. So first of all, on Undead, it says that the jump, chop, hit, detention, and animation was improved. So, what it's talking about here is every time you jump, I'm assuming every time you jump, that's what it's talking about. That when you jump in the air and slam down, that's what the jump, chop, hit is. I don't think it's actually defined in the game here what a jump, chop, hit is. So it can be a little bit confusing, but I guess we'll see it in the game. On top of that, when you use the jump, chop, and you slam on the ground, it's going to be faster to recover. Faster to recover from, like, let's say you use it to hit someone. Or maybe you just even missed. It's going to take you less time to get back up to the ground, up on your feet, and be able to move again. So that's going to be the other change. It says that the jump, chop, hit, detention, and animation was improved as the first buff, though. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a buff. But right here, you know, it feels like the animation is a little bit better. I feel like the screen, I guess, moves a little bit cleaner back and forth. I don't know if that's supposed to be the buff, but I guess it looks cleaner. But more importantly, when you jump up in the air, oh, you know what? I guess the screen, it does fall behind a little bit when you use the jump hit. But right here, look at how much faster the animation is. So if you jump up and you miss, similar to Bon Bon, if they jumped out of the way and dodged it, well, now if they try to go for that same powder window they were trying to go for, you have more time to, after your miss, quickly try to swing at them again. Not going to be as good because Percy has a little bit of slow of a swing, so you could probably still make the powder window right after missing. But now it's a little bit faster, so you're just wasting less time. In fact, it might actually even be good now to use it for distance, because before, if you had more than 50 energy and you tried to use the dash for distance, if you jumped ahead and then you slammed down, it actually took you more time than if you just didn't use it. But now I think it's actually going to be faster to use the jump hit, assuming there's not an obstacle in your way like that, to actually just use the jump hit and use it for the extra distance, because the animation is not going to take as long. Before, you would want to do that. You would want to just use it, just go forward in the direction you're in, and don't even worry about jumping forward, because the animation was just too long. Now, I have a feeling that it might be worth just using it for distance like that, since the animation is a lot faster. So now you could actually use it for distance as if you didn't have 50 energy. Because when you don't have 50 energy, it's obviously a lot faster to dash for movement. But anyway. Kinetic dash hit casting animation shortened. Jump chop backswing shortened during energy surge. So, oh, I see what it's talking about. I think I see what it's talking about. This buff is a little bit hard to understand. Maybe because of the wording. It says that the kinetic dash hit casting animation was shortened, which is what I was just talking about. It's actually talking about this right here. But it also says right before that the jump chop backswing shortened was shortened during energy charge. Now, generally, backswing refers to a missed attack. So is it faster? I don't know if it's talking about this. Or is it talking about this? It looks like it's talking about this. That looks a little bit faster. So generally, the animations are now faster. If you choose to not jump forward, it is a little bit faster. If you do choose to jump forward, it is also faster. So I think that's what it's referring to. Can someone in chat? Does someone in chat know about this? They mean the dash attack. Yes, but there's multiple things they're talking about here. They're talking about jump, chop, backswing, and then kinetic dash hit. Which kinetic dash hit is the whole ability. The whole thing is called kinetic dash hit. But then what is jump chop? You know, that's not defined anywhere in the game. So I'm assuming it's talking about when you jump up in the air, probably. Anyway, this is the last buff to Percy. No, dude, I thought we would get to this a little bit sooner, so the joke's kind of the joke's not gonna be as energetic as I would like it to be. But anyway, now guys, they did a buff to Percy. Now the spread is faster. Look how much faster it widens out. Guys, and remember, guys and girls, there's nothing a guy likes more than spreading faster. Guys, the faster you spread, the better, obviously. So, who doesn't love Percy just spreading faster? That's just amazing. I wish I could be more excited, but I'm just really tired. Look at that. Guys, look how much faster it spreads. Ask any guy, man. They're not going to complain if you spread faster. So, that's going to be the undead buff. So now, when you use the 1000 presents, and you go try to hit Survivor with it, and they just sidestep out the way. Now, because it increases faster, maybe you'll hit them now. In fact, a lot of times I barely dodge it, so I think this buff is going to make a difference now, which is pretty good. Breaking Wheel got changed. Breaking Wheel got a buff. This is a little bit of an ironic buff to Breaking Wheel because some of these buffs that they did to Breaking Wheel are actually reversions. The original Breaking Wheel actually already had these cooldowns, and then they nerfed them, and now they're bringing those numbers back. I guess because of Flywheel's existence, they decided that, you know what, Breaking Wheel can have these numbers back. So, what they did to Breaking Wheel is basically, for the trap, this is not how the old Breaking Wheel used to be, but basically, it says that reticent cooldown has been reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, you guys might be wondering, like, what the heck is that talking about? It's talking about the trap. Reticent, or however you pronounce this, is talking about the trap. But some of you will be confused, being like, why does it say 5 to 4 seconds if it clearly says the charge duration is 14 seconds? Well, basically, guys, what it's talking about is after you use a trap, there would be 5 seconds where you cannot use your next trap. Now, you only need to wait 4 seconds instead of 5 seconds for your next trap. Yes, we are going to be live tomorrow. You think the startup for the dash was changed pretty minimally? The most noticeable changes was the... Yeah, that definitely is a really big change. That was definitely the most noticeable. The ending animation when you actually jump forward. So, if we turn off animation cooldowns now, instead of being 5 seconds long now, it's going to only be 4 seconds long now to use our next trap. Before, this number right here used to be 5. Now we only need to wait 4 to use our next trap. So, that is actually going to matter because when you're using Wheel, you're not really using your traps early game, you're just rolling around. So by the time you get out of Wheel form, you're going to have 2 traps ready. And the next buff they did to Wheel, this is what the old Wheel used to be. The old Wheel used to have this 5-second animation here. This 5-second, not animation, but 5-second cooldown. To go in and out of Wheel used to take 5 seconds. And it made Wheel so much better back then. But also there were other things that Wheel was broken for. Wheel had infinite full presence. You could just use the infinite full presence as much as you want. It had 32 meter range. The snap had a huge 32 meter range. Since then, they've nerfed those things. But I guess the devs have decided, you know what? Breaking Wheel is not as good anymore because early game, when you're forced to come out of Wheel, like let's say right here, on a window like this, you have to come out of Wheel here. Okay, sorry, this is a bad example because you could just go over here. But let's say you had to come out of Wheel from like on the arms, like on the ruins window back there. You'd have to come out of Wheel, you'd have to vault it, and then you'd just be waiting to get back into your Wheel because obviously you would not really want to chase the survivor on foot if you haven't already got a spike in them. So in this case, the buff is going to matter because you just immediately go in Wheel form, you go after the survivor. Maybe you hit them right now. If we had full presence right now, we'd be able to come out of full presence, hit her with it again. With the old Wheel, we would have had still 2 seconds left on that cooldown. Or like right here. We go in wheel form. Maybe we chase the perfumer a little bit. And then she reaches this window. Well, we can come out of wheel faster. We can vault the window, and now there's going to be less time where we need to wait to get our to go back in wheel. Those 2 seconds, guys, those 2 seconds really add up, including rescues. On rescues, it's going to add up, because on rescues, you're going to come out of wheel, you're going to try to hit someone, and, you know, if you went to double hit the rescuer, then you need to go back in wheel to hit the survivor. I guess the recovery would anyway make it last long enough. So, it has its moments. Sometimes it's going to be useful, sometimes not really. Sometimes the 2 seconds, like, you're not going to need to wait. You're not going to need it to be reduced by 2 seconds, but anyway, it'll have its purposes. And now, by the way, the nail board did get nerfed to make up for the faster cooldown between nail boards. Now they only last 8 seconds instead of 10 seconds. I have personally never timed how long the nail board lasts. It's one of the things I've been meant to test a long time ago, because I've been curious now how long these nail boards last on the ground after the wheel places them. Because sometimes they'll place them and then I'll avoid it, but then I'm like, okay, how long do I need to wait before the trap disappears? I don't know for sure, because eventually it does disappear. Now it's going to be 8 seconds. So you just have to, after the trap is placed, it's only going to last for 8 seconds. So after 8 seconds, you can go use that pallet. Kind of like with confined space. You know, if you time confined space, you just walk up to the window, even though it looks like it's confined. If you timed it in your head, you will know exactly when it's going to run out. I've had so many times with the confined space, it runs out right as I approach the window. And that's the goal. That's the goal that you're trying to do. And against wheel, when you're trying to counter wheel, same thing. Count 8 seconds in your head. And then as soon as those 8 seconds run out, you're probably going to be walking up to the pallet. And ideally, you want to walk up to it right as it disappears. So it'll matter sometimes if they pre-place the trap, but usually with wheel, really good wheels are anyway sniping survivors immediately with their wheel. With their trap, I mean. So it's not always going to matter. Sometimes the area will have tall walls in the way where it's not really possible, so they'll have to pre-place, and in that sense, the buff will matter. But the nerf will matter. But in a situation like that, where the hunter anyway can place another trap within 4 seconds, it doesn't really matter that the first trap you placed only lasts 8 seconds now. I think the first buff that we talked about will make up for this nerf that we are now talking about. That now, even though the trap lasts shorter, you're able to throw your next board faster, which is the more important part, because a lot of times you're anyway not going back to that same area that he threw a trap in. It's just anyway too long. 10 seconds was too long. 8 seconds is probably also too long to still stay in that area. You're probably just moving on to the next area, in which case it's better to do the buff that we have right now, with Breaking Wheel being able to throw the board and the next board 1 second faster. Clerk got buffed. They improved the height-based selection for replay. So I don't know. I don't really know what this time about. I'm guessing what it's time about is if there's a height above you, the game will detect it now. If there's like a pallet or window above you that you need to record for some reason, put a recording on, maybe now it'll detect it. I'm not really sure what the change is. Maybe someone in test knows. Oh, someone here in chat has some extra info. I was testing Undead early, and the jump chop can clip survivors even if barely finishing vaulting the window. That's cool. Even if barely finishing vaulting the window. Okay, so before you're right. You used to not. Does it depend on the angle though? Sometimes, even before this buff, sometimes it would still clip them. Other times it wouldn't. It depends a lot on your angle. So I guess when we play against Undead, we're gonna notice it more. These little changes, we'll notice it as time progresses. For now though, we're gonna move on to the next change, which is Fool's Gold. Fool's Gold is mostly a numbers change, guys. I know if you guys watch the TikTok video, you'll probably see Fool's Gold just ignoring every single obstacle and going straight for his pickaxe. They actually ended up reverting that. Sad to say, I know, but Fool's Gold is not going to become the extremely mobile hunter that I really wanted him to be. I really want Fool's Gold to be a usable hunter. I really want Fool's Gold to be a really good hunter. And they took that away. That was his biggest weakness, is that there would be obstacles in the way, and any small obstacle will just block you now. And that is still the case. That still exists. Originally, that was not going to be the case. Originally, you could like slide between walls, slide over walls. Unless the wall was completely in your way, you could slide off of it. Now that's not the case. So they decided to remove that. Instead, they did some other buffs. Mostly to his full presence, though. But unfortunate, I know. So now, if you see me throw this pickaxe, normally... Actually, that's a bad angle. Let's re-angle that. So normally, if I throw the pickaxe like that, according to the TikTok video, we should slide right off this wall. You know, that's easily slide offable, right? Whatever the word is. But now, we're going to get stuck. So they reverted that buff. That was going to be what made Fool's Gold good, but I guess they don't want Fool's Gold to be good. So instead they did a different buff and decided this will be enough to make Fool's Gold good, which I don't think it is. They buffed his full presence, the cooldown for full presence. Instead of waiting 20 seconds, you now only have to wait 16 seconds per use. Guys, this is not really the problem with Fool's Gold. The problem with Fool's Gold is that he doesn't really have good early game. So how are you supposed to reach that full presence strength if your early game is not good? This is what I talked about earlier at the start of the stream, that the devs have gone more into a path where they made stronger early game and then the full presence is not as strong. Why was that made the case? Because in the original Identity 5, a lot of the hunters were like that and it was just useless because you were never able to reach full presence. Feaster was a lot stronger with full presence back then, but he didn't start with any tentacles, so you had no way to get the full presence. Fool's Gold has a very similar problem, where his early game is not that amazing. His movement is good, but it leaves something to be desired. There's always stuff in the way. Most of the time, it's very rare they have an opening like this, where Fool's Gold mobility is great. In this situation like this, Fool's Gold mobility is great, but right there, we just got stuck on a random wheelchair that we couldn't even see from far. And so this is kind of the crap I'm talking about, where I really think that they should have stuck with it. That was what was gonna make Fool's Gold good. That's what's gonna make him great again, guys. Right? Vote for Fool's Gold. But anyway, that's a joke. But anyway, guys, that's the Fool's Gold buff for the most part. They did buff something else. It says here that the toe size was reduced. I don't know what the toe size is talking about. What is toe size? T-O-W, not toe as in your foot toe. No, the toe size was reduced. Is it talking about this? So you can't get body blocked by it as easily? I don't know. I don't know what it's talking about, but probably not a big deal. It looks like the walls are still the same size, so it's not that. But it says here that the magnetic conversion now shows a cooldown. I don't know if anyone in chat... oh, magnetic conversion is the rock. So now, magnetic conversion will show a cooldown apparently. Personally, let's try it out. Let's see where the cooldown appears. Does it appear on the rock? This has always been 25 seconds. Does it like show up from far how long the rock lasts? I'm not really sure what it's talking about. It says that the cooldown will now show. Is this like a survivor only thing? That the survivors will see how long the rock will last? Does someone in chat know this? Can they adjust the toe size though? Yeah, I wish they kept Fool's Gold changes too. It's really sad. So anyway, apparently you can see the cooldown on this now. It's not talking about the cooldown on my screen. 25 seconds was always there. You always were able to see how long till your next rock. It just says over here that now you're able to... Magnetic conversion now shows cooldown. What is it talking about? Were you not able to see the cooldown before? Were you not able to see the cooldown before? I'm confused. So either the survivors are able to see how long the rock lasts, or maybe in the past, when you placed a rock, it would show how long the rock would last? I don't really know. I wish I could go back in time and... They meant in the book. Oh, they meant in the book. So in the book, it'll show you that now it's 25 seconds for your next rock. Okay, thank you guys. So that's not a buff or a nerf. That's just making it clear in the book. Okay. They meant in the book. So now in the book, it'll show you that the cooldown is 25 seconds. It used to now tell you how long the cooldown is after you make it. Anyway, that's Fool's Gold. Shadow got a pretty big nerf, but this is mostly just a numbers game, and it's really hard to prove this in a match where we don't have 4 players anyway. But basically, now when you guys activate the exit gates, it will only take 9 seconds to destroy the tablet instead of 20 seconds before. So what am I talking about? When the Shadow makes a gravestone on top of you, you have to wait 20 seconds before you can start to destroy it. But when you guys trigger the exit gates, now you're only going to have to wait 9 seconds. So you don't even have to open the exit gates. You just have to make it so that they're active. And now you only have to wait 9 seconds to break the... It's called a corrupted ostracon technically. But whatever. You guys get the idea. We call it a gravestone, the rock here that you can teleport on as Shadow. If they already pop the exit gate, now they don't have to wait 20 seconds. They only have to wait 9 seconds. It means that your late game, when you put a tombstone on the gate, you don't have more than 10 seconds before they can start breaking it. And there's a second nerf. After you are able to start breaking it, you now only have to wait 2 seconds to break instead of 5 seconds. You know what? I actually have it written here. I'm actually wrong about this. So in the past, when you triggered the exit gate, it was 12 seconds. So apparently there must have been a a nerf before this that I didn't realize. But when the exit gate is activated, it was reduced from 20 to 12 seconds to wait to break the gravestone. But now it's reduced even further from 12 to 9 seconds that you have to wait to break the gravestone. And now that you can finally break it, instead of it taking 5 seconds, it now only takes 2 seconds. 2 seconds is really short. So there's going to be almost zero time where the survivor is going to be wasting trying to break that tombstone, and then they're going to be right back on the gate. So 3 seconds less, considering that the gate only takes 20 seconds to do, 3 seconds more on the gate is going to add a lot to just trying to just now focusing on the gate. Like, let's say you're walking to the gate because the star is breaking the tombstone. They're going to break it faster now. They're now going to get 3 extra seconds to work on the gate before you can stop the gate, before you reach them. And that might be enough to open the gate in some situations. But anyway, that's the shadow nerf. I wish they nerfed the full presence, but fun fact, when you have, and by the way, this is why it's so important that if you guys didn't ban shadow, that you have borrowed time. If you have this tray right here, escape, no one talks about it. The reason no one talks about it is because if you guys play hunter, you get the same buff. It's called carnival. It also increases your movement speed by 5%. So both survivors and hunters are faster by 5% at the end of the game. So this effect makes no difference in 99% of games, unless hunter has no attention. But it makes a difference against shadow. If you run in a straight line after she puts a tombstone on you and you have escape still active, like the 120 second cooldown is still going on, if you run in a perfectly straight line and you get hit by the full presence and then you get hit by the ghost scaring you, you will have 99 or 98 corruption on you. All because you had the speed bonus to run out of the gravestone in time. So in terms of endgame, shadow can still be stalled out using this method, using escape and just running in a straight line. I just wish the early game was a little bit more fair, because right now it still feels like a lot of the time you get teleported on, you get hit by the ghost, you get hit by the full presence, you get hit by the 20 from the tombstone, and then that equals 100, because 40 plus 40 plus 20 from the tombstone, you're dead. You're taking a hit, pretty much, is what it means. So I wish they would do something about that. Shadow's still going to be a good hunter, but she's going to be a lot weaker in the end game. Goatman got nerfed. So people were telling me that Goatman got buffed. I'm gonna fix that right now. Oh no, he did get buffed. You guys are right. Okay, I don't know why I thought I said 2.17 to 2.1. No, never mind. I'm wrong. So Goatman actually did get buffed, interestingly enough. I don't know why. Goatman got buffed. His full presence got buffed. So now what he used to be is, with full presence cage, it took you you got 2.07 resentment per second. Now you get 2.17. So they buffed it by 0.3. Again, similar to the spider thing, it won't make a difference in the short term, but in the long term, you might get an extra cage out of it if like 3 minutes in the game pass. It would take a lot of time though, I'll be honest, but it will make a difference in like the long term. They did nerf him in other ways though. They made it so that we should probably show this off as a survivor so you guys know what I'm talking about here. But I'm going to be a survivor here, and we're going to invite Stinky here. Make a practice mode. And let's actually make a duo so that he can join. Basically, the second nerf they did, the first one was a buff. They buffed the full presence by 0.03. Again, the full presence is not the end of the world, because like I said earlier, you have to somehow get to the full presence. But Goatman's early game is so strong that he can realistically always get the full presence pretty early on. And so I don't really understand this buff. But they did nerf other things about him. You guys will see, someone in chat already said it. They nerfed his normal attack range, and they nerfed his charge attack range by 0.2 for both. It's about 0.2 for both. I'm not going to tell you the exact number. I guess I'll tell you. With normal attack range, 3.37 became 3.12. So about 0.2 smaller. Charge attack became 3.88 to 3.63 meters smaller. So again, about 0.2. But as we showed with the Wu Chang buff for the attack range, it's really hard to show the difference in attack. It's going to be like one of those things where it's going to barely make a difference every once in a while. But it will make a difference here and there, especially if you're not used to it. If you were a person who played Goatman a lot and you often took advantage of the range, like very edge of the range, I know I have, then you will notice it. But basically, and I just realized we don't have anyone to chair, so that we can't even show this nerf. But basically, the nerf for Goatman, not only did they nerf the attack range of both charge and normal, They also nerfed the back step, which is the ability to, like, the 1000 presence ability you get as Goatman, where you use it and you go backwards. Mostly useless ability. You really doesn't change anything. They nerfed it by 4 seconds so that the cooldown is 4 seconds longer. Who is this man? Send me an invite. He's a worker bee, but is a dragon tier. It must be an alt account. But basically, guys, the last noticeable buff for Goatman is that, let's put some bots in here. My voice is tiring out. If Goatman puts a cage near a rocket chair, you are able to break it faster. You're able to break the cage in 1 second instead of 2 seconds. But if he puts it far enough away from the chair, then it's still 2 seconds. And now what they did, guys, is now they've made it so the range is further from the chair. So you can be further from the chair and it will still allow you to break the cage in 1 second instead of 2 seconds. Actually, you know what? I'm really sorry, guys, but I actually tested this range out thing before they nerfed it on a specific chair on Red Church. I want to do this on specifically the Red Church, so I can show you guys exactly where the difference lies. Because I'm actually curious just how far of a difference it is. So before they did this nerf, me and a hunter friend wanted to test out just how far this range is. It's about 15 meters from the chair. About 15 meters from the chair is the cutoff point for where you start to break the cage slower and you're no longer close enough to the chair for it to count as breaking the cage faster. We need to be in normal mode and we need to be on Red Church, and hopefully that specific chair spawns. That chair doesn't always spawn. Okay. Just like you already showed the map changes. No, we haven't shown the map changes yet. We'll do that at the end. Goatman got buffed by 0.03 for his full presence only. This doesn't make that much of a difference in all honesty, especially because you don't start with it. But I would not have buffed Goatman's full presence. I don't understand this. I don't think the nerfs were so harsh that he deserved a slight buff in his other stats. I don't think so. They mostly went back in some of the nerfs they were going to give him. Then why didn't they remove this buff then? Okay, this kind of stuff drives me crazy about the devs. It's so stupid. Okay, the chair did spawn, thankfully. So, let's go ahead and actually grab someone here. Actually, I have to bring someone all the way over here. So, guys, that chair, there's a chair right around there. And if you put a cage about here is how far you could be where you'd have to be so that you could break the cage faster. So if you went past this point and got any closer to the chair and Goatman places a cage, it would only take you 1 second to break it. But anything further than this, like right here, if you try to break the cage, it would take you 2 seconds to break it. And so that's what Goatman would do. Goatman would try to cut you off further than 15 meters from the chair, around 15 meters. I don't know exactly what number this is. This is around 15 meters, though, just an estimate for you guys. Really quickly, I need to kill someone on my alt account. And these guys are bots, so they're actually going to run away. And we're going to bring them over to this chair so we can test exactly how long. It would be preferable if I had like a third account. I don't have a third device anyway, to be fair. Oh no, man. I hate playing on phone. Oh wait, he takes chip from that? Okay, good to know. Did I put these guys on master, by the way? Okay. We might be here a while, guys. We might be here a while. Wait, that didn't hit? Wait, I got auto aim on as well on the phone. How do you even play IDV on phone? I haven't played on phone in a long time. Okay. Oh my god, the auto aim actually made me screw up. Man, how do you people... Oh, the bots actually break the Goatman walls. That's kind of cool. But anyway. Man, I don't know how you guys play on phone. This is crazy. This sucks. This really sucks. So yeah, now we have full presence. So now the Goatman buff would be active now. Now we are gaining 2.1 cage. Sorry, 2.1 resentment. Oh, I just messed up. We are now gaining 2.1 resentment. instead of 2.07, which I guess is cool, right? Alright guys, finally. This is why I don't play on phone. It's really hard to move the screen. But we're going to bring this Gravekeeper all the way over to this chair. And hopefully no one rescues during this time. And we're going to see just how far the range was increased. I'm pretty sure he's going to struggle out. He actually struggled out in front of the chair. You got to be kidding me. I was literally pressing the button. Oh my god. Wait, what? What? Was that on stream? Did you guys see that? I put a cage in front of him and he teleported through it. You're not able to do that normally. What? Was that? No, the tombstone was blocking it. You guys couldn't see. I put a cage in front of him so that he can't walk through. And my man just walked right through it and teleported to the other side. I'm done. I'm actually done. He was literally supposed to be dead and he just glitched right through. God damn, guys, if you're watching this as the VOD, just skip ahead. Just skip ahead, man. This is so dumb. He should already be dead. He should have been dead here the first time. Oh my god, and now I'm messing up. Okay. So, he's dead. Finally. Now we can do some tests. And pray to God no stupid bot rescues. I do not have a third account. Let's see how far the new range is. How close can you be to the chair? So right here. Okay, if they changed it, they barely did. So this is what I'm talking about. You see how you see how this is too far? You gotta get closer to the chair for it to count. So, man, this is... There's a survivor inside, so I can't break the cage. Okay, this is really hard to test, unfortunately. I would need a third account. I would need someone here with me to accurately test this without some bot coming in. Honestly, if I'm being honest, guys, they are body blocking. They're literally on top of each other. How is this fair? You literally can't even do that in a real game. They're walking, they're phasing inside of each other. They are doing 18 plus things. What is this, man? I'm getting roasted by bots. Alright, guys. So, if they changed that, it was very small. Because right around that range would be where you'd be able to break the cage and where you wouldn't be able to break the cage as quickly. And it seems about to be the same. I thought it would be like a 5 or 10 meter increase. If they increased it, then it was like 3 meter increase. And it won't be noticeable in the longer and actual games. Anyway, but again, it says here rocket chair radius for cage dismantling speed has been slightly increased. So that means what that's talking about. It's not talking about the break speed. It's talking about how far you can be from the chair to still break the cages quicker. And again, it's not much. It's not much different. I'm pretty sure if that perfumer wasn't inside the cage, it would be faster to break the cage at that point. But it's about like 12-ish meters. 12-ish, 14-ish meters that you have to be next to the chair to actually break the cage closer. And if they changed it, then it was really small. Alright, guys. Finally, for the last change. Do I need Stinky for this? Okay, I don't need Stinky for this now. This is going to be the last change, and then we're going to hop into the map change, and then I'm going to call it a night. This took a lot longer than I thought. I actually ran out of energy. I'm out of energy, man. Okay. So we're gonna start Armor's Factory. Some of these I've seen, like the hospital one. I dropped my mouth when I saw that. Other of these, I have not seen. I have not seen the Lakeside changes yet. They changed 3 different areas on Lakeside apparently. Moonlit got that really big change to the palette. Not much else changed about Moonlit. Apparently there's stoplights now on Moonlit. At second and third side, which I didn't see, but I did see the palette being added. The last change is going to be. The last change is going to be Hula Blue. Now, if you don't want to watch this stream the full way, because the stream is too long, don't worry. I intend on making a more condensed video of all these things. Straight to the point clips of just showing what exactly is the difference instead of me doing all this setup and all these loading screens. Now you guys know what it's like to record these videos. A lot of loading screens is happening in between these to see each one. Let's talk about Hula Blue's changes now. The first change is that he is now 0.08 slower. .08, guys. Are you kidding me? They could have made him the same speed as Ripper and he would still be a very strong hunter. So he's slightly slower now. Big deal. Okay, so for practical sake, his movement speed did not really get nerfed. But if you want me to be technical about it, they nerfed his movement speed by .08. Big deal. No, not really. The next change is that they actually made it so that his backswing is longer. When you swing, it takes you longer to recover. You see how we're slower for longer? That's basically the difference. So we're slower for a little bit longer. I feel like his attack speed before he swings, before he does the damage, is also longer. I mean, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the actual swing before we even hit this prisoner is also longer. That it takes a little bit longer for it to hit, and then after we're finished hitting, there's a longer period where we're slower. Now, do not get me wrong, Hula Blue is still going to be a really good hunter simply because of the fact that this mechanic exists right here. This double hit mechanic right here, where you have red plus white, and then black is right here, and they're just dead instantly. And there's going to be a lot of times where someone is going to be standing at a pallet right here. Like, this is going to be a good example. You guys, we don't talk about that hole in the wall. And what you're going to do is they're going to be standing behind this pallet. You put white on them. But did you guys know that it also goes through walls? So right now, as long as the red is covering right behind this pallet, they're going to get both red and white. Red from me and white from the clone, but for some reason, when the clone attacks, it also thinks that my main body is hitting them. So if there was a survivor standing right there, even behind this wall, I would be doing red damage to them. And then after that, all I gotta do, flip to black, and now the black would also be hitting them. And they did not nerf that. That was not removed. So that is still in the game. So for the most part, you can still basically hit through walls as Hula Blue, as long as there's a clone on the other side also hitting them. Two things. As long as the clone is hitting them, and as long as your main body is within the range. So like right here, if there was a survivor standing here, you put red on them from the clone, right? Behind the pallet, if they were standing right behind the pallet, we would be hitting red with them. But if I stand right here, they would also be getting black because the clone hits them. And for some reason, when the clone hits them, it thinks your main body also hits them as long as you're within range. And that they did not change. They did change, again, the swing speed. So it's slower to recover. And the cooldown is longer. So if I use this cooldown right here, instead of it being 12 seconds, it's 14 seconds. In the long run, this will make a difference. In the short term, you're probably not 3-cypher kiting this guy. It's not big enough. His abilities need to be toned down in strength, not the cooldowns. The strength is the problem here, not really the cooldowns. If you keep nerfing the cooldowns, eventually you'll get like a hunter like Blood Queen, where the ability is still busted and can do anything, but just has an insanely long cooldown. And so it just becomes a game of, you know, can you pick a hunter that counters it however long it takes? And 14 seconds is not really long enough, so this is not really going to be a big enough difference. What I will say is a big difference is they nerfed the trapeze charge. The trapeze charge is the jump charge. So right now we can jump 2 times. It used to be that you could jump 3 times, but now we can only jump 2 times. Which that is a pretty big change, but I really wanted the jump speed to be removed. I really wanted it to be reduced. I really wanted also the travel time, even when you're not jumping over stuff, to also be reduced. Like, look at how fast you go. Look at how fast you go. And now that his movement speed was reduced, it benefits you even more to do your jump like this, where you're not even jumping, you're just using it for speed. Although I will say, with only having 2 of them and not 3, it means you won't be able to do that as affordably. And the last thing they nerfed was that the dash duration only lasts 0.8 instead of 1 second. So this is what I was just talking about. This thing that I was talking about, this used to last 1 second. So we would be going even a little bit further before, but now it won't be going as far. Which, again, I guess that helps. But Hula Blue is probably still going to be the strongest hunter, if not for Goatman. Goatman and Hula Blue, in my opinion, hardly got hit by this nerf. And so they are still going to be by far, not even close, but still going to be very close to the best hunters in the game. By the way, I think I actually missed a hunter. I missed Gamekeeper earlier. I missed Gamekeeper. When you miss a normal attack as Gamekeeper, your animation swing is faster, and they actually increased the slam, the AoE of when you hit into a wall. They made it bigger now. They actually nerfed it a long time ago, and now they buffed it back, I guess. It's kind of hilarious, because Gamekeeper used to be like a laughingstock. They would buff him so many times he would still be garbage. Now they finally gave him a good buff. Then they immediately removed some of those good buffs, and now they're giving him back. This is what I hate about the devs. They see a hunter temporarily good or a survivor temporarily good for a little bit that like was off meta for a long time, and as soon as it's used by a lot of people, they get scared and they just take away part of the buff, and then the hunter kind of falls out of existence after that. Gamekeeper, I would say, was still a very good hunter, but you know what? If they want to bring him back in the meta, this will help bring him back in the meta. He was still a good hunter before, but now he'll be slightly better, you know? Anyway, that's going to be all for the character changes, guys. Let's quickly talk about the map changes. I'm not going to delve too deep on these because I want to do a separate video on how you want to go about these changes. This is going to require me doing a lot of tests, a lot of rank matches, just using these areas, just testing out new combinations, new possibilities. I do want to mention that even though this area does nerf this palette hugely, may I add, it does mean that you don't have to walk as far to this window now. If you're up against a hunter where you just want to use the windows and you don't really want to use the palettes like Black Chang, then you now have a faster route to this window over here. This is still a very good window. This is an extremely good window, and now you have a more direct route to it. In the past, you'd have to walk from this side, and if you walk from this side, then it doesn't really make sense to use this window, because now the hunter can very easily go from left to right. And if you went over here, because there used to not be this hole in the wall, you go to this pallet, right? And if you go to that window, well then now, because you had to take like a big turn over here through this pallet and then to that window, it's more distance. Now you can take a much more direct route, but that's the only advantage, guys. It's not really that much of an advantage, because even though that window was further away, why would you use it when this hole was not here and you could just use this window? I do think this wall is longer now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn this wall was not as long. I played this game for years, and I remember very clearly that this wall was about this short right here. It was about that long. It would not take a big turn to go around this window back to this pallet. That's what made the window so good, is that there also wasn't a wall in the way here to reach the pallet. But I guess now that the pallet is a hole, there's a hole here. You guys never want to use this pallet anymore when you're coming from this direction. When you're coming from this direction of the map and you're approaching this area, you never want to use this pallet now, because the hunter always will go around it. If you try to use it, then you're in a vaulting mind game like this. You want to go straight to this one if you plan to use the pallet. I would recommend, though, saving that pallet, and you could use these windows here instead. Vault this window, and now it's still very annoying for the hunter to go left or right. While this is a really big nerf to one of the pallets, you still have plenty of good windows here to make the other pallets still work a long time. Though I will say you probably won't be able to do a infinitely long kite here anymore. I have done almost 5 separate kites here so many times. Even like last month, I think I did a near 5 separate kite as anti-querying against Hermit here, because these windows, they did most of the work, but every time the hunter slightly catches up to you, you just abuse this window a little bit, and then you abuse this pallet over here, and it makes up for it. For these windows, slowly allowing the hunter to catch up. But slowly doesn't mean a whole lot when you use these pallets and you get it all back. So now that this pallet is gone and now this window is gone, it means that now against hunters like Hermit and Wax Artist, you will no longer have this wall here, and that's going to be a really big change. Even if you're up against Wax Artist and you try to go in a straight line here, there's no walls protecting you anymore. You're going to get shot down. You're going to try to vault this, you're going to go down. Or at least take a hit. So it is a pretty big change. It is a really big change to this area. And rest in peace, that area. It has become a lot worse. I will not lie. This is not a balance change, but I don't know, guys. Have these wheels always moved here? Has this thing always been moving here and I've never noticed? I'm pretty sure from this update it's now moving here. I don't think this used to move before. But anyway, that's not the balance change that we're here for. The balance change that we're here for is this. Look at how they massacred my boy, guys. There used to be an extra blue barrel here, if I'm not mistaken. There used to be a blue barrel here, right here where I'm standing, and they removed one of them. So now, when the hunter walks around this pallet, instead of walking like this, which is what they used to have to walk around like, now they walk around like this. And it's going to be very easy to go around, and maybe they'll even stop you from reaching the second pallet here. If you drop it early enough when the hunter's over here, like let's say the hunter's over here and you drop it like at this point when the hunter's standing here, even if they go around, you'll still make the other pallet. So this is not the biggest change. But again, it's going to make a difference every once in a while. Specifically for this rocket chair, guys, it's going to make a difference. Because now, in the past, you just run straight to this pallet. And because of that extra blue barrel here, it was very hard to walk around. Even from the short side, it was very hard to walk around this pallet. It was very easy to just see which side the hunter's going on, drop on the opposite side, and then if the hunter goes around, there's still so much space that they have to walk around, they can still make that other pallet a lot of the time. They'd have to use an ability at that point. And if it's like something like Ripper where they just use it on the rescuer, then they wouldn't have it, obviously. But anyway, that's the Arms Factory nerf. It's a pretty big one, especially that front gate area. I will say, it does not mean that pallet at that gate is useless now. It doesn't mean that it's useless now. It means that you have to use that pallet from the long side of the wall. So instead of coming from the short side, you have to go through the other pallet that's still good, pass by it, and then go in a circle back to the bad pallet, the now bad pallet. And if you get the hunter to walk around that side of the long wall, then now it will not be easy to go around that pallet. Even if they go around it from the short side, it's still taking them a long time to walk around it. And if they pass by to walk all the way around it, then now you can do a circle back to it and you can vault it again. And you can kind of do that. It still is going to be good in certain situations, but you're going to have to force the hunter to approach from the long side of the wall. You don't want to use it when the hunter's already on the short side. You want them to follow you towards like the edge of the map. You do a circle through the good pallet, back to the bad pallet, and then when they're on the long side of the wall following you, that's when you drop that pallet. And because they're already on the other side of the wall, the long side, it's not going to be as effective if they try to walk past the pallet on the short side. So that's going to be Arms Factory. Again, I know that was really confusing in words, but I'll do a video on that, about how you want to use that area in the future. Again, that pallet is still going to have its purpose. It still has a purpose, but you're not going to be able to just blindly use it just from coming from out in the open, from the center of the map, and then use that pallet first thing first. You know, that's not going to be a realistic thing anymore. It's going to be actually very hard if the hunter's already right next to you, because you might not have time to reach the second pallet at that point. All right. The next change we're going to be talking about is... My throat is really hurting now. Anyway. They did 2 nerfs to Hospital. They did not touch Hospital itself. They just touched the ruins area. Now, if you've been watching the stream, these balances, and you've been watching me, at least for the arms Wu-Ching part of the stream, you'll notice that this table is gone here. Why did they remove this table? I have no idea why. If anything, this is a slight buff to survivors because now it's going to take you less time to vault this window, go in a circle like this, and now it's going to take you less distance to then repeatedly use this window over and over now. So before, as a survivor, you would have to kind of walk at an angle here, and then this would be unnecessary distance that you'd be using now. However, it is going to make a difference in some situations. For example, the Bon Bon buff that I showed off earlier, now with this table not being in the way, assuming that the pallet here is already broken, you can throw a bomb there. Even if they dodge it, if you're close enough, you could just walk right here where there used to be a table, and now you can be able to hit them. For the most part, guys, this is not really going to make a difference, though, because the problem with this area for hunters is that there's no opportunity to ever go around this window. They always have to vault it, and so by removing this table, you just make it take less time for the survivor to reach the window as well. So it cancels out and doesn't really do anything. If anything, in some situations, it might be better for survivors because there are going to be times where they make this window where otherwise they would not have made this window because now there's not a table blocking them. Now there's not a table forcing them to waste some distance just trying to reach the window in the first place. It means they'll be able to get more loops out of it if you don't have confined space. But this is the other big change here. My mouth dropped on this one. So what you guys are seeing here is first things first. I'm pretty sure this wall was a tiny bit longer. I'm pretty sure it was like right over here where the wall was a little bit longer on this side. But more importantly, the medical table here is gone. So now if you're playing Hunter, what it used to look like is there used to be like a table here that was pointing out in this direction right here. I'm trying to make it in the shape of... I'm trying to walk in the shape of it. It was like this rectangle here, connecting to this little desk, and it was connected to this tree right here. And so what would end up happening is if the survivor ever used this pallet, not only was the wall longer here, so really you would be forced to like stand from here, but also your circle around this pallet would look more like this. And if the survivor saw you coming from like all the way around there, they would easily vault this in. Even if you try to go back around, this wall is too long, and the table getting in your way makes it so you're not going to be able to go back and forth. You're always going to be forced to break this pallet, pretty much. But now, with this table gone and the wall being shorter, you can very easily, if you ever get them in a situation like this, you can very easily kind of mind game. As long as I get my Dream Wish main body out the way, because it does have collision, you can very easily like trick them, mind game them, and then it's pretty easy to hit them with the swing right there as any hunter, even leech. You're gonna want to use the charge attack though as the leech in order to hit that. Anyway, your good Dream Wish players are gonna be able to time their charge attack well. And right there, that would hit, for example, if they just vaulted that. It might even be a Terror Shock in the worst case. Pretty much, what it means is if you ever enter this area from Hospital, like over there, you'd be forced to use this pallet at this point. And this pallet is the better one than this one. Even when this pallet, before it got nerfed, this one was the better one, because if you ever dropped it and the hunter avoided it, now you have this window, and then the hunter would be forced to break this pallet. Because now if they go around it from that side, you just vault this window. If they go around the window, or if they vault the window, then now you go that way or around this wall. So if you would just vault this window, you'd be here. You'd go back to this pallet that they didn't break, and you'd vault it, and then, then they'd follow you. The pallet is still here, and now you could vault this window again if they still choose not to break it. They basically have to break this pallet. This is the good one, and so at least this one still stayed intact. If possible, you want to run past it, though, and just spam these windows here, because the windows will help you save the pallet areas. But now it means if you ever go in this direction, right? I got to get used to the fact that there's no table here anymore, so that when I blink, I'm blinking more like this. So you know what, guys? This window exactly is a huge nerf to survivors if the hunter has blink. Because in the past, you would not be able to blink here, because that table would be in the way. You'd have to blink like this, and that's a really awkward blink because the survivor would already be making their way to the next pallet. But now, when they vault that window and they're making their way to the pallet, you can cut off some distance and you'd already be right next to them. So this actually makes a huge difference for exactly blink, and I guess a warp a little bit, but warp you can honestly just warp right next to the table right here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It just matters a lot for blink. Exactly. This is a really big change for blink. And it also makes a difference for Geisha, exactly, since Geisha, you would go back and forth here, but since there was a table here, it wasn't really as effective to get them to vault. Now you can get them to vault much easier. Otherwise, though, no other hunter is affected by this. If you're coming from this direction, it just means the survivor has an easier time, actually reaching the window. But again, I guess with blink, assuming you'd use your blink well, you'd be able to be right next to them. You'd be able to cut off more distance. Like, instead of being forced to do a straight blink, you could cut off more with the blink and be just right there. So that makes a difference right there. But this pallet, so just like with the Arms Factory pallet, how I said that it can still be used well if you come from the right side, can this pallet still be salvaged? Technically, yes. This pallet can still be salvaged. This is still a usable pallet, specifically in the case if you're using this pallet area from this direction. Imagine I'm the survivor. Imagine if the leech is the survivor right now. You go over here, you vault this window. This pallet that they nerfed is still usable if you come from this direction. And now, thanks to this nerf, if I were to make a hospital guide before this nerf, I would say it doesn't really matter which pallet you use first. Now, I will say it actually matters to use this pallet first. Because now if you drop it from here when the hunter's, back over here, because obviously if you're coming from this direction, the hunter's going to vault that window and follow you, and they're going to be right around here. So, assuming that my central body right here is the survivor, and I'm the hunter over here, no matter which side I go on, the survivor will be able to easily see which path I go. And because I'm on the longer side of the wall, that nerf to the wall doesn't really matter now. So now if you ever come from this side, you'd want to use the pallet as soon as you come from this direction. But if we do the reverse, if the hunter's coming from this side and I'm vaulting the window following the survivor, and I see the survivor go that direction, like maybe they go around this wall and then use that pallet, as a hunter, I'm going to see that. I'm just going to go to the right here. And I might even be able to cut them off before they reach this pallet here. So that's where this nerf comes in. If you come from if you're, depending on which side, which flow, which circle you're taking. If you're going, let's call this clockwise, I guess, and the other direction counterclockwise. If you go clockwise like this, and you try to use that pal, then I'm going to see this. I'm going to go around the wall from the short side if possible. But if I'm going this direction, counterclockwise, I'm going to follow the survivor. I'm going to vault this window. And if the survivor uses the pal, then there's no difference here at this point. This is the same exact area because I'm on this side of the wall, and this side of the wall has not been changed. So, again, it's not that these pallet areas are useless. It's not that the pallet itself is useless. It's just you're now forced to think about which side you bring the hunter to. And being aware that you can't just use the pallet drop and just get free distance. Now you have to think about which side is the hunter coming from. The hunter's already on the short side of the wall. You're going to get no value out of the pallet. If the hunter's on the longer side of the wall, you can still get pretty good value out of this pallet. And even if they go around here, I will say, if they go around, it's going to be a lot worse. But if you see them go around, then what you can do is I'm pretty sure you're still going to have time. Because, like, let's say once again, the main body is the survivor and I'm the hunter. I'm going to go this way. The survivor, assuming that my main body is the survivor, will drop this pallet. I'm going to see the hunters going from that side. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to vault this window. And now when the hunter follows me in this direction, look, the window is very good here because no matter if they go left or right here, there's so much wall blocking them that I can easily see which way they go. And then as a survivor, I can react. If they go left, I go right here. If they go right, I go left. And at this point, I would probably stop using this pallet. Because if I were to be coming from this direction, if the hunter were to be coming from this direction, I were to use that pallet, and then I vault that pallet right there, then then it's not going to give value at that point. At this point, look how easy it is to go around. So you have to be thinking about which side the hunter is coming from. But once again, like I said, if you can get the hunter on this side of the wall and then force them to go around, because now that this wall is sure, they're going to be tempted to go around, which means if they ever go around from this side, they're going to be giving this window so much value. All right. So what does that mean for you hunter players? That means for you hunter players, if you're ever in the situation that I'm talking about, I'm like talking about how to counter the nerf, and then now I'm talking about how to counter the counter that I just said the survivor. So if you're the hunter and the survivor is doing what I'm telling you to do, then as a hunter, what you should do is you should come from the right side. Why should you come from the right side? Because now that window gets no value. Now if they use that window, you can easily be here on the left or right. As opposed to if you come from this direction, you're allowing them to go perpendicular to the window, straight to it, and so now when they vault in, now you're forced with this difficult choice, like where do I go, left or right? Doesn't matter, you gave them a ton of distance. Once again though, imagine I'm the survivor right here, the main body's the survivor. They drop that pallet from that side, like they're gonna bait you to get close enough before they drop the pallet. So like around here they would drop the pallet, and then they're obviously gonna then go in that direction if they see you commit to one side. So if you commit to one side, then now at the very least, they're going to be forced to drop this really good pallet because this window doesn't really get good value anymore if you're coming from this direction. Like now you'll be able to go left or right. You can react to which side they go. So again, there'll be a better this video describing it with visuals about what that looks like and what it would result in if you were to do one or the other. Because I know right now it's really hard to with just my main body and me and my little leech that I can only move one at a time. But what I want you guys to take away from this is that even if you don't know how to use the new pallets, the new nerf pallets, I should say, they're still usable. You just have to get the hunter to come from the long side of the wall. And if you guys are the hunter players, then your goal in Ruins is to try to make it so that other window combined with those pallets is not as good by forcing the survivor to go in a direction where they're going parallel of the window, where if they use the window, then you can easily go left or right. That's what parallel means. You're going the same direction as the wall of the window so that you can easily go left or right. You're not going opposite direction. You're not going perpendicular into the window, because then if you go into the window, well then now if you go left, right, then the wall is blocking your both ways. As opposed to if you go sideways, then you can go left or right without it blocking your way. So. Anyway, let's do Lakeside now. Lakeside got changed. I picked Lakeside, right? It's like if I invite you to my graduation, would you attend? I would not be able to. It's in California. It's in California, Quinn. Okay, so we already see a buffed area here. I have not seen this before. So this is very cool. This is very cool. I really like this area. This area right here resembles this area over here a lot. And this is a pretty decent area on Lakeside. So I really like this. This is a really cool Really cool way to buff Lakeside. This was a pretty dead zone. These pallets would be basically useless because these pallets were in a direction where when you drop one of these pallets, like let's say you drop the pallet here, like I'm the survivor, right? I'm the survivor over here. And let's say the Yithian over here is the hunter, right? If the hunter were to go around here, because of the way this pallet is angled, I don't have a good area behind me. Like when the hunter goes around, I have to use the next closest area. What is it? It's going to be this pallet. Okay, so I go here, but then the hunter's already sideways. They already went around this pallet. So then this next pallet, they're also going to go around. All right, and it means that these pallets do not combine well with each other because when they go around one, they're already going around the other. Now, when they go around this pallet, I can instead use this one, and I can drop this one, and now they're forced to break one of the pallets. But in before, why this pallet area was so bad? Because when you drop this one, all that the hunter would do is they would never break it. They would just come from this side, right? And then you would use this pallet. But if you use this pallet, then they're just going to go around this side. And now look, same exact situation. I'm going to get hit if I try to drop from the wrong side by accident. And if I drop it too early, then now I'm in a vaulting mind game. So ideally, before the buff here, what you would do is after the hunter goes around, you would just go this direction and then go around this wall. But then the hunter would follow you, obviously, and then, again, you're in the exact same situation. You're in the vaulting mind game. So now what this does is now you have the second pallet to work with. Now they have to break one of these pallets. As soon as they break one of these pallets, that's your chance to run for the shack. Or if you're on the opposite side, like on this side of the pallet, then once they break one of these pallets, you do the opposite. You run to this window over here. Or if they have slow pallet breaking, you might even have time to go to this window. Though I would suggest just going for this one, though, because this one is probably better than that one because, well, it really depends on the hunter. If you're against a hunter where they do really good against windows, you should probably aim for the pallets right there as soon as possible. But if you're up against, like, Black Chang, you want to be in an area where you can reuse windows. If you vault this window, then this window will take you to more windows that you can reuse. As opposed to that window, you cannot reuse that window because you got to go around it so far. So then after you vault this window, you'd be forced to just use these pallets because there's too much distance to go all the way around back to that window most of the time. Unless they just straight up... Is there a mechanic on the team? How did they get the fort tower? I guess the next person just walked really fast. So yeah, this is a really cool area. I really like this buff. And here's another thing. Look at the way this pallet is angled. It's angled in a way where it makes sense to go for shack. As soon as you drop it, it's a straight line to shack. So there's no way the hunter's like, there's no funny business of like after the hunter breaks it, you gotta like go around like some wall that's in your way to go to the next area. Like right here, if I were to drop this pallet from this side and the hunter is now breaking this pallet, we all agree that makes no sense to go this direction because look, I would have to go around this wall. There'd be a wall in my way. And plus, what am I doing going that way? Now the hunter will easily just go left and cut me off right here. That's why it makes sense to go for the window right there. It's a straight line, and it makes sense. It's angled perfectly for the window. It's a straight line there. And here, if the hunter were to ever break it from this side, same thing. This after I drop the pallet and they start breaking it, it's, again, the tree is in the way here, but it's a mostly straight line without losing... Ooh, this is actually not a very straight line. So you know what? It's going to be a little bit hard. Well, I guess you could come from this side. You know what? Now that this pallet area exists, I'm going to have to think of the new fastest route to that window over there in case this pallet ever gets broken from this side. But it looks like you don't want to come from the left side because if you go from the left, well, then now you got to walk right a little bit. It's going to be, I'm pretty sure, a little bit faster to go here. And not only that way are you passing that fence now, and that fence is not in your way, but also it just takes you more directly to the window here. And by the way, you can actually take a sharp turn here. Do not go around this pole. Go right here. Faster route to that window. That way, there are going to be times where you barely would have gotten hit if you don't do that. Alright, next area. They actually buffed this area over here. First thing you'll notice, not a lot of cornfield anymore. They actually removed a lot of the corn stalks. This is a pretty dead farm plot now. As if, you know, I'm not going to lie, they were pretty dead already. They look pretty dead. I'm not a botanist, but they look pretty dead. But at least there was a lot of them, right? Now there's barely any. So now as a hunter, you can pretty easily see survivors here. You might even be able to see them all the way at the gate sometimes. If they're on their way to, if they're already at the gate, it's still going to be pretty hard to see. But let's take a look at the area here. They did some changes to this area. The first thing they changed here is I believe there's a window here somewhere. Yeah, right there. There's a window here now. So on its own, this window looks pretty useless. And I'm not going to lie, this window is useless on its own. But we're going to get to how you want to use it in a second. Now let's look at the other thing they added. They added this palette. Now this palette, again, whenever you look at a window or palette, how do you analyze if it's good or bad? You want to look at both the left side of the palette in the window and the right side of it. If the left side is very easy to go around or the right side is very easy to go around, then it's not a very good palette window, because anytime you vault this the window now, Hunter always comes from this side and you barely got any distance out of it. Now, of course, I guess if the Hunter were to ever go left, you would be getting more distance, because look, there's this wheelbarrow in the way and this hay bale. But why would they? They'd always come from this side. Even if you do what I mentioned earlier and you kind of bait the Hunter to come from the longer side of the wall by, like, for example, let's say the Yithing is the Hunter and I'm the survivor. And maybe, let's think of like a realistic situation, right? Realistic situation, I'm doing this cipher. I'm getting a heartbeat from that direction. I don't want to go closer to the Hunter. I'm going to run away from them, right? And so I approach this window, right? The first problem with this area is that by the time you reach that window, and by the time you get the heartbeat, the Hunter's like probably going to be around over here, right? So by the time you start actually like walking from the cipher to the window, you're actually going to reach it too early. The Hunter's going to be like right around here if they're normal movement speed. So you'd be vaulting this window too early. You'd just be wasting your boost. So instead, you just want to walk past it. And if you just walk past it, and it's like the area is not even there, but at the same time, what's the point of vaulting it if the Hunter's just going to see you go vaulted? It doesn't matter to them. They're just going to easily go around. They're just going to see you boost, so they're just going to take a direct line to you. Where this area is going to come in is kind of like as a last resort, it looks like. It looks like this is going to be a last resort area. If you're at these exit gates, which, by the way, the exit gates look a lot different now. They made them wooden now instead of metal, which is very weird. I like the old metal design personally, but whatever. The one situation where this window is useful, guys, is this one right here. If you drop this pallet and then the Hunter goes around the left side, let's visualize that with the Yithian. Come here, Yithian. So let's say right here, I'm already at the pallet, I drop it. Because of how long this wall is, it's not going to be that easy to reach this window, so you kind of need a head start, because look at how short the wall is that the Hunter has to go around. They might even be able to hit you before you even walk around this wall. So you already need a head start there, if I'm being honest. But let's say you do have the head start and you drop the pallet, and then they go around that left side. So then you go here, and now this window is actually not that half bad, because now the Hunter is going to follow you. And look, they could go right, but then this wheelbarrow's in the way, and they could go left, I guess. But if they go left, then as a survivor, I'm going to get a huge speed bonus straight to that shack pallet. And so this is more of like a window to help you escape the gate in the case that you already have a head start. Because normally if you had a head start, some of you guys might be saying, well, what about the other window? What about the other window over here in this area? Well, the problem with that other window over here is that because you're going in a straight line, the Hunter was also mostly going in a straight line, and so it doesn't really add that much distance. You drop this pallet, they go around like right over here. That's why this pallet area sucks. Imagine if there was a wall right here. This pallet would be one of the best in the game, because they'd always have to break this pallet now, because now this wall is too long, and this one would have a wall in the middle blocking it, which would be so good. It would make this pallet area so insanely good. I would even design routes from that cipher just to go to these two pallets, and then if you want to save these two pallets, you would then use the window here, which is what I already do. But I prioritize that window and just ignore the pallets completely right now, because they're so easy to walk around. The moment you drop them, the Hunter's already going around it. They're probably going to hit you before you can even walk away from the pallet. That's why this pallet area sucks. But now you can escape it and go this direction. And if you have a window boost, you might even be able to escape it. But in the past, you just kind of ignore this pallet. Don't even waste your time dropping it. Just go in this direction. You get the vault, and then at least the Hunter has to walk a little bit around here, but it's not much. And then you'd use this pallet over here. But once again, it was very easy to just go around from this side. And if the Hunter has like any speed or ability, you're usually dead at that point. So this window is going to be a hard one to use. I'm not going to lie. Will you also test Peddler in the video you will do? It's going to be a separate video. It's not going to be the same video, but yes, we'll also do a video. It's a little bit unfortunate this is happening all the week before finals week. I would love if this happened end of season. If all this stuff released next Wednesday instead, because that's when I would have finals week and we could go right into making videos about these things. But right now I have work to do, and tomorrow I also have work to do. Let's do an oral report and also some other work for my other classes. So I'm not going to be able to immediately just make a video on this, unfortunately. But anyway, this area would be a little bit tough to use. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be a tough window to use. But every once in a while, you might get a gate escape with it. This is going to be the main use. It's going to be to escape the gate and to get a gate escape. If you can get a window boost straight to that gate, you're golden. So this is not a useless area. Again, every single thing has its use, but the shorter the wall, the more situational it is. I do want to look at this powder over here and kind of think about how we'd even reach this pallet. This is such an awkward position. This one, again, the other pallets that I talked about are easier to plan for 2 reasons. For starters, it's already in an area that I'm used to kiting in, so I know how it's going to work out. I know what happens in that area. I know all the options the hunter can do because I'm used to the walls, I'm used to the shapes around it, and I'm used to how long it takes for them to go around for me to make the next obstacle. These new areas like this, it's very difficult for me to, first of all, how am I even going to reach this area? In what situation would I run to this area? In what situation would I use this pallet and not want to go over there to that area? In what situation would I not want to use this window? In what situation would the window not be an option? In what situation would that windows over there that not only are better, but take me to a continuously better area than this pallet over here, which not only is not that good, but it's also in the middle of nowhere. In what situation is this going to be helpful for me? It's going to be really hard to say. And again, that's kind of what makes part of what makes these areas so awkward on Lakeside. It's not that much of a buff, if I'm being honest. It's nice. It's something. It's a last resort kind of area. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Don't worry. I'll be trying my best to see what I can find. I do think there's potential with this pallet. Just because these hay bales are quite big. They block a lot of distance here. So if you ever catch the hunter from this side of the pallet, they kind of have to break the pallet at this point. So I think there is potential, but it is going to be a little bit hard to use. If you ever vault this pallet, and if the hunter comes from this... Sorry, not the pallet. If you ever vault this window, and the hunter comes from this side of the wall, then you would take it straight to that pallet. Because I don't think you would make this shag pallet without getting hit by an ability. So this one is just a lot more practical. And then you could drop it even ahead of time, and this hay bale is going to be long enough. I do think there's potential with this. Then if you drop this pallet, and maybe if they're far enough away, you might even be able to go around this wall and make this shag pallet. But again, in what situation are you already starting in this kiting area? You'd have to be opening the gate or something. There's no reason to ever be here. So in terms of escaping the gate area, I think these areas add a lot. In terms of actually coming from the center of the map and going towards this area, I'm not really sure how much this adds. I don't think this adds a whole lot. It's not even, like, at least if it was close to the shack pallet, I would consider using it before I go to those windows over there. But look how out of the way it is. It's so out of the way of the area over there. I just rather take a straight line. I just rather take a straight line to that window. It just makes more sense. It just makes more sense to take a straight line straight to this window, especially on a pallet that's getting me already so many distance. Shack pallet on this map, Lakeside, that is one of the best pallets, not just on this map, but in the game in general. If you're using it to go to a crappy pallet like that, you're not getting good value out of your pallet. At least use it to go to this window if the hunter has like faster pallet breaking. If the hunter has faster pallet breaking, why are you even going to another pallet? You should be using windows. So, if anything, guys, I wish it was the other way around. I wish the window was here because this window has some decent walls to go around. And also the window boost would lead directly into that next window over there. And I wish this was the pallet, because then you could still get at least you would be able to occasionally get like a lucky pallet stun here and escape. But because the window is here, you can only use it for a boost. And because the pallet is here, you won't consistently be able to use it for the boost. And they're just flipped around right now. This is the place where you need a lucky stun and you just can't get the lucky stun. The area is just so bad you need a lucky stun unless you have a window boost. And even if you have a window boost, it won't take you to a great area. Depending on which side the hunter comes from, like if the hunter goes around that side, I guess you go here. But then the hunter's going to see that and they're already going to quickly go around. I mean, I guess you could go here then and then go behind this wall. They won't be able to snipe you with an ability, especially if it's like Wax Artist. And then you make your way to this pallet. But then again, this pallet is not that good. You'd have to walk past it, go around this wall like this. There's definitely more outplay potential though. I'm definitely thinking of some routes here. And it's, I mean, hell man, I don't know why I'm complaining. My name's Psyche. I'm going to be able to survive here. I'm going to find a way to survive here and I'm going to make it work. It's just for the average player. They're not going to be able to do this. I'm definitely going to need to do a video on this area on the situation that you'd be able to use it in. I will say though, at the very least, if the hunter's ever on this side and you vault the window, all right, and they come from this side, then again, you could make it to the gate. Or if you need a way to desperately get back to Shack, you could use this wall to your advantage and quickly get behind it, utilizing your window boost. Get some distance, and also this wall is protecting you. If it's like Wax Artist, if it's like Night Watch who's trying to suck you in with wind, the wall will protect you. This wall has more purpose now. In the past, all this wall was for was like for hiding if the hunter randomly came to your gate. Anyway, there is actually one more place. Dude, man, I spent so much time talking about that one area. Okay, holy crap! Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened here? Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened here? Okay, let's think about this area here. What exactly is different here for starters? So first of all, this area looks a lot more different. In the game, in the balance patches, what it says is that they replaced these short walls with tall walls. So in terms of the pallet positioning, and I can just tell you right now from looking at it, these pallets are in the exact same spots. This pallet right here is in the exact same spot as the old pallet, and same for this pallet. These are in the exact same spots. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a buff. This is one of the worst kiting areas in the game. This is one of the worst kiting areas in the game, and guys, they actually made it worse. They actually made it worse because now if you ever find yourself on this side of the wall, there used to be like a bunch of barrels here that you had to take an awkward circle around to go around this pallet. I don't understand why they made this area worse. This was already a pretty easy pallet to go around. They just made it even easier. Is this supposed to be a buff? Is this supposed to be a buff where like wax stars can't shoot you now? Because if so, that's a pretty crappy buff because he can pretty easily just walk around and shoot you from the side. I don't really understand the logic behind this buff. Even this wall over here, you know, the barrels were thicker than this wall here. It's not going to be that hard to go here and here. Compared to the barrels were a lot thicker here. Even this rocket chair, I feel like some barrels were removed here. Were some barrels removed here? No, I'm pretty sure the barrels here were these barrels are exactly the same, but there definitely were more barrels here, right here, making the wall thicker so that it's taking more distance for them to walk around it. Now it's a very easy turn every single time like this. Before they had to walk a little bit more like this. It was a very awkwardly shaped. It looked like an eggplant shape, honestly. I don't understand what this is supposed to be. This is a horrible change. This was one of the worst areas on Lakeside, and they made it even worse. I don't understand what the logic is behind that buff. But yeah, that is terrible. A nerf to Gamekeeper. Well, Gamekeeper anyway couldn't hook over the barrels. So no, it's not a nerf to Gamekeeper. It's a buff for Gamekeeper because it's easier for him to go around the wall now. It's a buff to every single hunter. Even if you think that it's a nerf for Waxers, it's not because it's so easy to go around the wall. So I don't understand why they nerfed that area. That was a really not good area of Lakeside. You'd never want to get caught there because if you're ever caught at those two pallets, there's no escape. You're kind of trapped at the corner of the map. If they like at least shifted the pallets in a different direction so that it's pointing towards Big Bow, but instead it's pointing towards the water. If you were to use those pallets, if you were going in the direction of that pallet and then drop it, the water would be behind you. Instead they could have like turned it around so that maybe different pallet areas are behind you. But no, there's nothing behind you. I'm really disappointed with that. I thought they would keep the thickness the same, but just make it harder to see survivors. That doesn't add anything. If the wall's super short, then so what that you don't see where they are? It's gonna be so easy to walk around the wall, and the wall's so short that you're basically gonna know where they are. If you don't see them, then you know they're behind that wall. And because the wall is so short, you know exactly where they are. That change makes absolutely no sense. My brain is actually hurting from that. That is an undeserved change. Holy crap. That was a really bad change. They should have added a window there too. Exactly. There should be a window there. There should be a window there somewhere. Hell, make the wall a little bit longer and then put a window on the side of one of those pallets. So that way when you drop the pallet and the hunter goes around one of the sides of the walls, you can just vault the window, which is further away from the edge of the wall. Kind of like with like that one area in Forest and Hospital, where when you drop the pallet and hunter starts going around, there's like that window right next to that pallet, and the only time you use it is if that pallet is dropped, and that way you just don't want to be on the edge of the pallet, closer to the edge of the wall. That way you have like more safety room away from the edge of the wall, so you can see which side the hunter's coming from. But you don't even have that. I guess I'll have to test it out. I'm not even. Notice how like I analyze the other areas because there's a lot to do there. They just took away our options, so I have nothing to add to that area. I have nothing to add to say about that area. I'm sorry, guys. That was just literally a huge blunder from the devs. That's a nerf. That's a huge nerf to that area because now it's easier to walk around than before. Yeah, sure. Waxers can't shoot you now. He'll just take 2 seconds to walk around the wall and then shoot you that way because the wall is even easier to walk around than before. All right, guys. Next area. So, apparently, they buffed this area over here. Now, there should be a survivor that spawns here somewhere. I really hope I don't have to walk here. But anyway, I guess we don't have to walk here. I guess we can just use the ghost. So, a lot of you are familiar with this area. A lot of you will remember that a couple of years ago, or a year ago, they added this window here. This window used to not be here. This used to just be a dead zone. I guess there was like a wall here, a singular wall, but there was no other wall here attached. Was there even a wall here? I don't even think there was a wall here. I think there was literally nothing here originally. And then they added this window here, and this window is not that good. Because as you can see here, it's very easy for the hunter to go on this side. So what does that mean? That means as a survivor, you need to go on the long side of the wall to get the window to be good. But if you go on the long side of the wall, and then the hunter goes around it, then it doesn't make sense to use the window anymore. Because now the hunter will, again, very easily go left or right, left or right. And you'll be in that mind game. So on top of that, it's not even like a good area. You're on the edge of the wall. There's no other pals to use. Until now. Now you can get the hunter to kind of follow you. You can get a little bit of value from the window here. You might even be able to mind game the hunter a little bit and kind of go this direction. Get the hunter to follow you, right? And you're going to get the hunter to follow you from behind. And then right as they go behind, then you vault this window. And look how much better this window now becomes. Because now they just wasted all that time following you. They could spend their time going this way, but then you're going to go the opposite direction, and you're going to head towards the pallet at this point. You're probably going to even be able to get a couple loops here. I'm pretty sure you're even going to be able to vault this pallet, vault this window now when the hunter's on this side. Now, in the past, I'm just going to bring my main body over here. In the past, you would also be able to go vault left and right, but eventually the hunter would catch up to you, and you would have no easy way to like kind of get some more distance. Oh, there's a survivor right there. He just breathed right next to me. That was kind of creepy. But now, if you're kind of in this vaulting mind game with the hunter, eventually you're not going to want to be here forever because it is going to eventually catch up to you. But you can use it for a little bit of distance to first vault this window, and then eventually you'll even be able to, like, once you get the hunter to commit to one side, as soon as you get them to commit, like let's say this Yithin is the hunter. I might use the window a few times left and right, maybe get them to walk around here and there, kind of do a few loops here and there. And finally, when they start to catch up, I don't need to worry because then I go this way. Hunter follows me, of course, and they'll finally catch up, a little bit. But then I got this really good pallet here. What are you supposed to do? You can't vault this window. As a hunter, if you vault this window, I'm just going to vault the pallet. If you vault the window again, I'm going to vault the pallet again. You just got me in the mind. I got the hunter now in a vaulting mind game now. It's pretty much what happened. And the hunter never wants to be in this kind of situation where every time they vault the window, you just vault the pallet back. All right, this is a very bad situation. The only way they can deal with it is they have to break it, right? But if they followed from this way and then break it, as a survivor, I can go left here. I can go straight ahead, and maybe the roller coaster's in front of me. Maybe the roller coaster's over there. I can go to the right here to the slide. It gives me a lot of options here to escape the hunter. And don't think that if I'm on this side of the pallet that it's worse. Do not think that for a second. Because some of you might be thinking, oh, well, now if the hunter's on this side and they break the pallet, well, look, there's just a wall behind me. But that's not exactly true because I can go this way. And it's not like the hunter can come me up because there's a wall right here. They can't just immediately come me up. They just have to follow me. They just have to follow me. So in reality, I just don't lose any distance. In some extreme situations, if you had a lot of distance when you drop this pallet, and the hunter has slow pallet breaking, it is very possible to just take all that distance in a straight line right down this path. And if you have a window boost still intact, take this window boost, go straight to tent. Now you're on the really good kiting side of the map. So you can use this area now to get to the good kiting side of the map. This is a very bad side of the map. This side of the map is awful. These pallets over here suck. That pallet over here sucks. These two pallets over here, okay, but for the most part, against most hunters, they suck when combined with their ability. But right over here, you abandon all these options and just go straight for this pallet. And now when the hunter breaks it, this is your chance to go just in a straight beeline in this direction. Depending if they have fast pallet breaking, you're probably not going to be able to do that. You're probably just going to be able to like go in a straight line right here. You just go right here. Direct route to the pallets as best as possible. But if they don't have fast pallet breaking, if you already know that, you could just take a straight line over here. And guys, trust me, if they go around this pallet, if they see for a second that you're leaving this area, don't think that you're screwed if they go around, because you will easily see if they're going around. Just go back, force them to break this pallet. It is going to be very easy to get them to force their time on this area, and that's going to give you time to escape. Doesn't matter which side you're on. Doesn't matter if you're on the edge of the wall here. If you're on the edge of the wall here, you probably would not want to go in this direction, because then you guys can see, yes, even though there's a little bit of a wall, it doesn't really fully protect you. It's pretty easy to go around. And right there, the survivor would be like right there. So you'd always want to be going the left side, not just because there's a wall here protecting you, but also because it's just the better side of the map. It's just the better side of the map. So it's just one area. They just did one palette change, and they just turned this area from like someone said in the chat. Someone said they turned this area from C tier cutting to an A+, which is like an insanely good palette. There's very good synergy with that window there. There is one more change on Moonlit. This seems to be a more like a visual thing. You will now be able to clearly see if the stop is on or off. So right in the past, for those who didn't already know, we're going to have to wait a little bit to do this, but if a survivor clicks this button, as a hunter, you're not helpless. You have to wait for the button to refresh. It takes about like 25 seconds. But after 25 seconds, the game allows both factions to press the button again. So as a hunter, if you see the survivors press this button, all you have to do is walk up here and turn it off. Like, let's say you chaired someone here. That's your chance to go ahead and turn this off. If you notice that the stop icon is not lit up, that means that it's off. But now they added a green flashlight here, a green light, to make it very clear that it is on, that it is off, that you'd be able to just go right through, that you would not stop. I'm going to show you guys right here that you can actually turn it back off as a hunter. And you can see that the stop button lights up. You don't even need the red light technically, but the red light is a nice visual. That way, if you guys are playing hunter and maybe you're running around the area, maybe you're searching for a target, and it's been a couple minutes in the game, it's going to be kind of hard to see if someone already pressed the button up there or not. So now, instead of trying to look carefully at the stop icon, you can still see it's lit up. You can still tell it's on. The stop is lit up, so no one turned it off. But now you'll also see the red button there. You'll be able to clearly tell that it is off. That you will not be able, what I'm trying to say is that you will not be able to go through. Unfortunately, you are not able to see it from far. So this is kind of useless. And I'm playing on high quality right now. So it's not even low quality. It just doesn't load from far, unfortunately. So if you guys are like playing hunter and you're all the way over here and you're trying to tell from here if it's on or off, you can't, because it doesn't load in until you get closer. So it doesn't really add anything in terms of strategy from far. Like from this distance, I could anyway tell if the stop button is on or off even without the light there. I guess it just makes it a little bit easier, but it really doesn't make a difference if I'm being honest. It's a visual thing. If you didn't know about the stop, the word stop lighting up, well then now I guess you know, but it's not really helpful to know that now. Because now this light will just stay green or red. So once again, if I turn this on, the stop will not be lit up anymore. It's going to be green, but that's how you used to be able to tell without the light. So if you think that's a nice quality of life change, well, yeah, it is. But for those who didn't know, you already were able to tell. It was just a lot less common knowledge, I feel like. I feel like a lot less people realize that, because be honest, when you guys are playing Survivor, are you really looking up there? Are you really looking up there? You're probably like looking at this button over here. You're probably not looking at the stop letters up there. You're probably like looking up here. I always personally, when I'm playing Survivor, when I'm past this area, I'm always checking, is the stop on or off? And you can tell from the bottom. So for me, this is not a big deal. I can always tell just from the bottom if it's on or off. And then if I see it's off, like the stop light is on, like activated like this, I would just go up there and I would turn it off myself. Or if I'm playing Hunter, I can very easily tell if it's off, so I just go back up there and turn it back on. So, very important strategy with Hunters. Be aware about that, basically. Alright. Last map. Jesus, man. First stop got another pallet? First stop got another pallet? I don't have anything written about these on my notes here. How did they buff Magician? So basically, they did a couple things to Magician. It's kind of a long list, but they did 4 things. You can now vault windows and palettes immediately after you use your illusion. If you didn't know, when you use an illusion, there was a second and a half where you were not able to interact with anything. So it meant that if you were like right next to a window and you had to use your illusion, you still can't vault it. Like even if Thunder hits your illusion, it doesn't do anything because you couldn't immediately interact with the window. You might even get Terror Shock if you try. It'd only be okay if their like Mystic recovery is very long. Like if you're up against like Photographer, you'd be able to do it. But if you're up against Clerk, she would hit your illusion and she'll swing at the window faster than you can vault it. Also, someone just told me that in the balance changes there was a palette here somewhere, so I'll search for it. But there's nothing here that I can see. So that's the first buff to Magician. The other buff to Magician is you can walk through your illusion now. So now there's going to be times where you're going to be in palette areas like this where it's going to make sense to still put an illusion here. And it's not like you're blocking yourself. Because yeah, you block Thunder, but you also block yourself from using the palette. So there's no point. You just clogged yourself a palette. It's almost as if you dropped it, you know, now you can't really do anything with it. Now you can pre-place an illusion. Like here, for example, would be a great example. You could put an illusion like right at this palette. And if the Hunter goes around it, then you can go back through. You can walk through the illusion. So that's the second Magician buff. The third Magician buff is that your speed bonus got buffed from 40% to 50%. So you're faster now every time you use an illusion. And you get 3 of those. So that's going to add up. And the last buff, this is probably the biggest buff by far. Every time your decoy gets hit, you get another boost. So just like how you get a 50% boost for 1 second when you use the illusion, you're going to again get a 1 second 50% boost when they hit it. So the new best strategy with Magician now is to not use it reactively even. Because if you use it reactively, then I'm pretty sure the boost does not stack. It just refreshes back up to 1 second. So like let's say you use the illusion, your illusion immediately got hit after you used it. Right? Well then you kind of wasted some speed bonus because you would have gotten 1 second from just using it and then 1 second from it getting hit. But I didn't test it, I guess. I don't think it adds. I think it just becomes 1 second again. I will have to check that with you later. But long story short, you get a boost every time your illusion gets hit now. So that's nice. That's going to be a really big buff. Because again, in situations like this palette area, you just put an illusion right here. And I bet you the Hunter doesn't want to walk all the way around. Right? They'll swing at it. But if they swing at it, they give you a pretty sizable speed bonus. If they go around it, then it's going to waste a lot of time. And if they, again, in the past they would go around it because they know as a survivor it would also block you. But if they go around it, you just walk right through, and then they're going to have to deal with it again. That's going to make it so good. It's a combination of a lot of buffs all at the same time. The speed boost makes it so that not only do you use the illusion is better, but also when it gets hit, you're now getting a 50% speed bonus as well. But then the fact that you can walk through your illusion encourages this kind of play style, pre-placing your illusion instead of like using it reactively like I used to. I would always use my illusions reactively right as the Hunter swings. Now it encourages pre-placing it, and now you're not punished because if you pre-placed it, then if the Hunter goes around and you're like making a circle back here, now there's like an illusion in your way. You can't walk through. You'd have to drop the pallet and then vault it, which is a huge waste of time, also a waste of your pallet boost. So all these buffs combine together to make Magician much better. Like if it weren't for the fact that you could walk through your decode, I don't know if I would be using this buff as much because pre-placing your illusion has its disadvantages. Now it doesn't have that disadvantage of not being able to walk through it. And, you know, without the ability of getting a speed bonus from it getting hit, there's also still no reason to really pre-place it. Because if you're pre-placing, you're not rewarded for them hitting it besides you being able to see them, which in some areas matters, some areas doesn't matter. So like all these buffs combine together to really encourage pre-placing. Like the ability to walk through allows the ability to pre-place, and the ability to speed up from them hitting it encourages pre-placing. So it's kind of nice because again, one of them allows this to be possible, the other one just encourages it, which basically what I'm saying is the illusion decoy no longer blocks a deploying survivor's movement. This is for all survivors, by the way, not just Magician. It really encourages doing this to get now that you get the speed boost from also getting hit. I'm sorry, I'm losing focus. It's 4:32 a.m. It also encourages you to do it because in the past, yeah, even if you were able to walk through the illusion, you would still not get a speed boost even if the Hunter hit it in the end. So it's nice to do in certain areas, but it wouldn't be like a necessity, is what I'm trying to say. You could still use it reactively. But now that you get a speed bonus the moment they do hit it, man, who is this person? I befriended this person earlier. This is the dragon player. Okay, let's see what they want. There is one more change on Darkwoods, but it's pretty simple. They just remove the palette. So they remove the factory window. Why is this place so dark? They removed the factory window. They removed the factory window. Not factory window, the cabin window, and they put a palette there, and then the really good palette inside of cabin was moved, and it's really crappy now. Really crappy. You can't even, like, as a magician, you can't even illusion where there used to be a palette. The area is too wide. Alright. Model update. I saw your stream. Also, by the way, I was the dreamish that Utera shock. I was dreamish that Utera shock. Cypher, I'm confused. Did they improve the magician illusion to body block? No, that's exactly the same. The model is exactly the same as far as I know. On Red Church Cipher by Leech. Man, you really remember this stuff. By the way, have you seen the deduction star voting yet? I haven't. Why is Knight and Hulu the highest voted ones? Maybe because they're the newest. Seki, are you going to do a stream for every buff survivor? Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. Good night, sweet dreams. Alright, whatever. I don't really care anyway. It was a long time ago, probably. I don't remember getting Turf Shock anytime recently. Did we even go against a Dream Witch recently? I feel like I haven't even seen a Dream Witch in a long time. Holy crap. Ooh. I'm gonna have no record left after today's stream. Alright, but yeah, we are eventually going to do a Survivor stream on every buff Survivor and also every buffed Hunter. I said I would do one... Oh no, I picked the wrong map. I said I would do one match. I don't think we can do one match. Let's quickly do the Darkwoods. Let's quickly show Darkwoods, and I'll do one Ripper match. You expected Fair Lady to be higher, considering how many people play her? What do you mean higher? Higher in terms of what? Higher in terms of tier? You mean, oh, higher in terms of votes. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow right now. Alright. Last area that they changed. They nerfed cabin. I mean, we spawned into how convenient. This palette is gone. This palette is now here. For the most part, this palette is garbage. I mean, the only situation would be good is if you somehow came down these stairs and then used it and you turned left here, and then the hunter would be forced to go around. It's not possible to go up here unless there's a catapult. Unless there's a catapult going up here. And even if there's a catapult up here, the hunter's not going to follow you up here unless it's like Lizard, I guess. Or Hula Blue. Alright, and then the other thing is they nerfed this. They put a palette here, which is a pretty big nerf, I'm not going to lie. They basically, in other words, guys, they basically deleted this palette. This palette is now basically deleted. You guys, you may as well drop this palette ahead of time, just like the Red Church one, just so your teammates can get a speed boost out of it. Because then at least now, if you pass by over here and if the hunter follows you, you can vault it for speed bonus up the stairs, get some distance. And then obviously if the palette's broken here, you would never want to drop down here. You would now want to drop down over here. So that you can use those palettes. I didn't know the ghost had a voice when it drops down. That was very weird. Okay, let's take a look at this area. Apparently this area got buffed. So yeah, apparently now chairs are not guaranteed to spawn here. There used to be 3 chairs out spawn at each of these trees, and now there's not even one. They just decided to move it here, I guess. They also decided to put a pallet here. This pallet is garbage, guys. Long story short, I'm going to keep it sweet and simple for you. That pallet is garbage. Don't use it. It's too short. It's too short on this side, and on this side, it's too short. It's too easy to see which side you're on as a hunter. They're going to very easily mind game you. Don't use it. It's garbage. Okay, there was also supposed to be a different pallet, apparently. Is there a different pallet, guys? Guys, did they add something else? Is there a different palette here added? Darkwoods is already bad? No, Darkwoods was one of the best Survivor maps. It's just a lot of people are... Dude, I was so happy when they added Darkwoods. You should have seen Darkwoods originally. It was even more Survivor-sided. Darkwoods is a very strong Survivor map. I mean, here's an example. The original Darkwoods used to have no hole in the wall here. Darkwoods got very similar treatment that Arms Factory got right now. This hole here used to not exist, making this palette extremely good. Even better than this one, honestly, because like the walls on both sides were longer than here. Guys, were there... Does anyone like Darkwoods out? I like Darkwoods. I like Darkwoods. I'm just a little bit disappointed that they nerfed this area this hard. Like, I really didn't feel like they needed to straight up remove the window. Like, how are we supposed to kite efficiently now? You really want me to use this crappy window? Okay, the reason I'm not going to ever use this window is because after I vault it, I have to go in the direction here where the hunter's going to be cutting me off. I mean, it's never worth it. Guys, is there just one pallet here added? House is very weak. House is very weak. There's literally just one pallet there, in other words. Back then, there was a pallet and a window. A window basically equals like 2 or 3 pallets in this game. Is it just this pallet? This pallet sucks. Anything else? No, this was already here, right here. This was already here. On the balance changes, it says, it sounds a little bit different on balance changes. On the balance changes, it says reduce intensity of Hunter's Cottage. It says that they added a pallet area to the ruins and campsite. Okay, so is it saying that the ruins and campsite is the same place, or is it saying that there's one pallet at ruins and one pallet at campsite? This is the campsite. There's no doubt about this. But where's the ruins pallet? Is this just still called ruins? Are they both called ruins and campsite? I don't see the other pallet here. What would the ruins be considered? Ruins side entrance. Okay, so they just called the ruins and bonfire the same place. They definitely fleshed out the map a lot more. I like that. That's really cool. I'm going to have to plan out. Guys, this is not even just... This is like the beginning of the balance changes. There's also a new hunter. The actual ping system got totally revamped, so... It's going to be really exciting trying to strategize the best way to actually plan the stuff out. We're going to go in a rank match here so we can get an instant match. People are playing Peddler, so I'm not getting 1-second matches anymore. I used to get 1-second matches, and then Peddler released, and then I have to wait 2 minutes for a match, in quick match. So, we're going to only have time for one hunter here. I was going to do Explorer, Magician, Ripper, and some other hunter. Who was I going to do? I was going to do some other hunter. Are these bots? Okay, they like suspiciously... pick their character all at the same time. I was gonna do it. Well, Ripper and what? Clown, I guess. I don't know. Bon Bon probably. Bon Bon. But let's just do one match. We're gonna do one match as Ripper. They're all already readied up. This feels like bots. But they did change their character, right? Did they change their characters? Did they change their characters? If they didn't change their characters and they just suspiciously readied up 5 seconds between each other, then it's bots. I'm curious. I do want to see. Are these bots? What were their starting characters? Their starting characters were all Lucky Guy. They can't be bots. Can there be bots in rank? Are they smart enough to change their character? Have they updated that? I mean, bots used to be a lot dumber, to be fair. Okay. So, man, whenever you play Ripper, it's so quiet. You can really hear the fog, like the weird eeriness. Okay. So this man is trying out the patient buff. I mean, those were really 2 fast hits, and after we used our first half Foggy Blade, guys, we are gaining time towards our next one. So now we're about to have it back. Plus the 18-second cooldown is going to be really nice here. What is this guy doing? Can't even get a legit match in, man. Okay, my battery is at like 2%, so hopefully no one rescues here. God, I'm getting tangled up. They didn't rescue? Okay. Also, the game unplugged. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, they're here. Oh, this is how we can save Foggy Blades in theory. We use one, and then when we basic attack... Oh, well, now it doesn't matter. Alright. I mean, guys, we still got one chip here on the prisoner. And on top of that, we still had a Foggy Blade for the patient by the time we needed it. This is a pretty good buff. This is a really good buff, because now the prisoner can't just easily rescue. Nice! And we still hit him. Ooh. Look at that. Look at how much trouble he's in. And I'm about to get my next Foggy Blade. That was a little bit unfortunate. Hold up. Okay, I really like this because look at that. Even though we used one, we're gaining our next one. We still have one ready if we need it. Okay. Let's try to wrap this game up quick. I would love to warp on the injured prisoner. I mean, we prevented a whole rescue. What the hell am I looking at? Still not looking great. I mean, I did walk away from the iPad just to get my charger, to be fair. Okay. Does this actually prevent the Fog Blade? It doesn't. It's just like the old Ripper. The old Ripper also didn't prevent it. Oh, this is crazy good. This is so crazy good. The hitbox being so tiny just guarantees that the Foggy Blade hits, because the Foggy Blade hitbox is huge. By nature. By nature, it's already so big, and by making the hitbox smaller, it fixes... I'm actually going to afford a chair here, because we're just going to get our invisibility back. Oh, there is one other buff I didn't talk about with Ripper. They buffed it so full presence reduces the time it takes to become invisible by 90%. Instead of it being 75%. You'll notice now that it takes me like 1 second. It takes just 1 second to become invisible now. It used to be 3 seconds. Okay, I can't chase this guy though. I have to go find the prisoner. Acrobat is also fine as long as we're chasing a guy who's not as long as we're making sure they're not decoding. As long as people aren't decoding, it's fine. Is he decoding there? That server's not shaking. Okay, he's just rescuing. He's just chill. He's just chill like that. I mean, one of the things no one talks about Ripper is his insanely oppressive speed is combining to make the Foggy Blade so good. But the fact that he is faster not only means he catches up to Cyrus quicker to stop them, but also it makes his Foggy Blades good. Because you need to be close to the survivor to get a good Foggy Blade. Okay, we have to get stunned here. It's not out of range. It just means that now, now you can choose, to split the damage and make it easier to hit your Foggy Blade. Because if you use the small attack, then it makes your hitbox very small. Which is really nice. I really like this buff. This is probably my favorite change in all of this game. Wow, it's actually a lot easier to chair here now. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize as a hunter it's way easier to chair here in the corner. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's also easier to escape, I guess, and go through here in the chair there, because this is obviously the better chair. but we didn't have this chair. Yeah, Foggy Blade recharges faster. So it used to be 20 seconds for a full Foggy Blade, now it's 9 seconds for half a Foggy Blade. So in total, 18 seconds for the full Foggy Blade now. No, I don't think Ripper's just beats her. I think Ripper's better than that. Alright guys, we're gonna call the stream here. Wow, I've never... How long is the stream? 3 hours 41 minutes, goddamn. Alright guys, we gotta call the stream here. Thank you so much for watching. We will do another stream very soon, in fact tomorrow evening. I guess we'll have to, I guess I'll do Magician first. Just because I want to get a chance to play the Hunter. I haven't even played the Hunter before yet. I haven't even remembered what she does. And also we need to rank up Survivor. So I think we'll focus on the Survivors first and I'll focus on the Hunters later. So for now guys, thank you so much for joining. I will see you later. Take care of this man. Psyche. Peace out, guys.